just in case someone breaks in behind you.
All right, so we are live.
Give me a minute before you take action. Let me see how I can, let me see if I can hold my own.
Well, we're gonna hopefully someone who's watching, because we have already 3 people waiting on us, can tell us if they can hear you.
Okay, can you hear me? Hello.
If someone's watching in the chat, please let me know if you can hear.
I'm gonna say what? If you can hear me, Anthony Gazzini, let me know. Hi. Oh, there's Luke.
All right, I gotta get my stuff muted, I think, over here, right?
Yeah, you want to mute your
Along
mic.
with computer audio.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Have your wife
That was close.
tune in and see if she can hear. Nice.
Huh? Mute your speakers.
Hey guys, we are going to start shortly. We're just doing some tests here to make sure that you guys can hear Anthony and John.
Who's John?
Oh. John, sorry, I hate you with the last name. Luke, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, who's running this show
Yeah.
anyway? Beep, beep, boop, beep. All right, now there's a way to set my screen.
Yeah, you guys keep talking. I have someone
Talk.
who will let me know if they can hear you.
Okay. Hello. Echo.
Yeah, worst case, we at least get good audio for your podcast. So that's
Yeah, I mean, and I can I'll be able to save the entire video and audio from this too. So if for any reason I can send, so when it records all the video and audio. So I can send you that. I can send you both those files.
Oh, I would love that. Would actually make this. If they can't hear us, that would make this perfect.
Okay, yeah, that's too easy. I'll drop it in a Google Drive or something tonight or tomorrow after we're done.
Yeah, I'm just gonna. Sorry, boys, just gonna end the stream then.
Yes, peace.
It's been real, y'all.
Oh wait, actually no, they hear us. So I guess.
Oh wow, okay. No, don't hang up. We can hear these guys.
Say. Yeah. Perfect.
Test.
Yeah. So I think.
Test.
Yeah.
Test.
They hear you guys.
Mine?
Yeah. So they'll only be able to see us. So I'm gonna.
Okay.
But
She
oh,
says it's not like the best.
it's not the best. So I'm not gonna actually like leave it up, so they'll be able to tune in now. But actually, yeah, I'd rather just make it upload the ones where they can see you too, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can do either one. You could record live and save it and upload a full one with all 3 of us, or whatever you want to do.
All right, we'll just send it. All right.
Just gonna fucking send it.
Yeah, Luke and I were made for the screen, so
I'm repping the brand.
yeah, yours is easier to read.
All right, ready when you guys are.
Yeah, I'm ready. Let me hit the right button over here so we can actually do this thing. All right, well, so
It's about damn time.
all right, recording in 3, 2, 1.
Recording in progress.
Well, there you go. All right, we're back for another episode of Splitters and Stuff podcast. With me, Anthony Gazzini, Luke Johnson from Johnson County Woodworking, Tyler and Tony from TNT. How you guys doing?
Doing great. How about you?
Man, I'm making it. I'm having a week. We can get into that later. Long story short, someone found their way into my barn and stole some stuff, and I've spent the better part of the last yesterday and today complaining about it mostly, and then just fortifying my shop and learning a lot about what kind of insurance coverage I do and don't have. So emphasis on don't. Yeah, it's been a good experience overall.
He still hasn't found out that it was me.
Yeah, it was definitely the news the whole time. So, but yeah, that's my day and week in short. But other than that, pretty good. I mean, things are moving along in the shop, getting a lot of stuff done. And
Did you guys catch that rocket?
yeah, the rocket was pretty cool. I don't know if you know this about Luke. Luke used to build rockets, and his rocket launched this morning at 1:45 in the morning. It did.
Really?
Spectacular.
Yeah, did you guys not watch the Artemis launch? I was convinced it wasn't taking off again, and then they just wouldn't send it.
So I also realized that it's very much a
a circle that you run with kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because I met my, so I don't remember if we talked about this or if y'all know this, but I do real estate stuff, like real estate investment. I met my partner this morning to look at a potential property and said something about the launch. And he was like, what? I was like, yeah, the big NASA rocket that they've been working on for so long, it launched last night. He was like, oh, really? And I was like, I guess that's just, depends on who you know, because my entire feed is all that stuff. And everybody from Huntsville who's worked on it and all the publicity around it and stuff like that. But then, you know, somebody like Ty is just like, oh, I had no idea. Yeah. But it's like, it's a huge deal for us.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. That must be
cool.
epic. Did you feel something when it was going up in the air?
Yeah, so the project that I worked on for the bulk of my engineering career was the stage adapter that connects the second stage, so the smaller rocket, to the big fuel tank stage. So once it uses all the fuel and they do the MECO main engine cutoff and then it separates where the little rocket keeps going and it drops the big tank. So that adapter, it's about a 30-foot tall cone. My company actually manufactures those, and I was the lead manufacturing engineer on it. So I was in charge of assembly and integration and stuff like that. So it's actually the system that explodes and actuators and separates the rocket into two pieces.
How do you test that?
Very attentive.
I mean, there's 1,000 different tests of all the different systems.
That has to be the most stressful part of the launch for you. Is when they're saying we're going to manage a cutoff.
Yeah, well, so we mounted cameras inside, and I wasn't sure if those were going to be like launch feed cameras or if those were just internal, which they didn't have any footage from them. So I was hoping to see that, but you know, it was dark, and then obviously it's a long ways away by the time it separates. So they're just showing a diagram and then listening to the audio, and they were talking about approaching it. And I'm like, all right, come on. Like, I'm nervous about the launch. Obviously, we can blow up on the launch pad or whatever, but that wouldn't be like, I wouldn't have this internal, oh shit, I hope that's not something I did, kind of thing. But they just kind of breezed through it. They were like, all right, we had to manage a cutoff, and we just got confirmation the separation was good. And that was it. And I was like, all right, I'm cool. I get it now.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's super cool stuff. I love watching rocket launches just from kind of being in that industry at one point. But this is like really big for NASA.
Yeah, it's kind of the make or break for where they're at right now.
Yeah, they worked on it for a long time. It's been delayed several times. And everything.
Oh, this is a NASA thing. It's not a private company.
No, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, this is the SLS like moon mission platform. It's called Artemis. This was the first one.
Dude, I swear to God, I thought NASA just kind of like stopped doing stuff. All I hear about is like SpaceX and like whatever Amazon's doing, and then I just never hear anything that like NASA's going back anywhere. And I'm like, what happened? You know,
so
but
they've largely transitioned to using the private sector for rockets for most of it, but they've been developing this SLS rocket, and it's the most powerful rocket on the market. Like, I don't know where SpaceX's Dream Chaser, Star Chaser, whatever it is, their big rocket that they're working on. Yeah, Dream Chaser's the shuttle, the little shuttle. Yeah. I don't know what the capacity of that is. I think SLS is still bigger and stronger. I think it's the highest payload rocket that's.
The Starship entire system, I think, is larger than SLS. But I did like that they made the SLS. I don't know if you guys we're familiar with the Saturn V rocket because we've got one here in Huntsville. I'm just standing up. That's Huntsville Skyline. It's one giant rocket.
Yeah.
The SLS is literally 1 foot taller than the Saturn V rocket.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, the whole thing's cool. It's cool to see NASA doing something and trying to get out there and still make stuff happen. But this was largely the make or break moment kind of for NASA.
Yeah.
If this failed, they would have gone really to just a regulatory, basically turned into like the FAA for space.
Which they still will.
Yeah.
But because this mission, I won't say the mission was successful, because this launch was successful, they'll be
they'll continue with the next 2 launches.
Yeah.
After that, they're gonna go to that kind of commercial setting. They're kind of letting the private industry do all the rockets. They're gonna do that anyways. But it's just a matter of whether or not these other 2 that are in production right now will be utilized or they just scrap that program. But I mean, it went off with everything was nominal.
Yeah.
All 4 rockets were at 100%.
Yeah.
They leave it to the point where you reach a certain point and then you could be good. If one of them went out, you could go on 3. That didn't happen. All the filling systems,
rocket boosters worked.
yeah, everything really went
All right.
just according to plan, which was cool.
Are these reusable rockets, or are they like
No.
one and done?
One and done. Yeah.
Yeah, NASA still. We did good to get this one flying.
Yeah.
But they're really just behind the curve on all that stuff.
Well, maybe not. I mean, if they get another trip to the moon, SpaceX hasn't done that yet. Doesn't matter if it's reusable or not, right?
Yeah, SpaceX hasn't done it, not because they can't. Yeah,
Oh, really?
the getting to the moon part is not extremely challenging. It's just getting it into orbit. I mean, that's the hard part. Obviously, SpaceX is very good at that at this point, and NASA used to be. And then, this is the first time we've flown a rocket since 2011 for NASA.
Yeah. I mean, Artemis it's about what 5? Was it 5 years or 10 years behind when it was really supposed to be up?
Probably 5.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with it. I mean, it's Huntsville. I mean, my entire news feed is like, I would say like 20% of the people I know on Facebook are like, I remember when I did this thing for NASA.
Yeah,
all this stuff.
that's what I posted.
That's awesome.
Like, here's my obligatory.
Yeah,
I work.
I
on
touched
it.
this. Yeah.
So you went from engineer for NASA to woodworking?
Yeah, I didn't
Sweet.
work directly for NASA, but I worked for. My company had the prime contract for this portion of the rocket.
Right.
So I wasn't employed by NASA, but yes.
But like more or less, yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool stuff. I loved it. I really liked my job. It just wasn't as good as working for yourself.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. We agree.
So, ready for the segue? Speaking of manufacturing things, you guys have a couple interesting products right behind you. Look at that seamless segue right there.
Yeah.
But I've actually been tracking all y'all's content on these aluminum clamp racks. It's cool. I like that you guys got them behind you right now, so I can see them. Luke's probably heard me talk about it. I've been talking to you guys about my dreams for a future clamp rack project, but you guys actually have one coming out, and I'm curious about kind of how that started, what that process has been like, kind of taking an idea and getting it into somewhat of a production.
All right. Well, it started with this gray one behind me. It was a idea for a group we're in at Brandon Woodworkers. Basically, we had to do a demo of glue ups for these people, and we needed an idea. We needed like a small version to replicate like our JLT clamps, right?
Yeah.
But we had to do it in like just a small space. So we basically built that gray one to do that, right? And during building it and seeing the design of it, like there's actually kind of a product here. So we refined it, we refined the whole pattern. The whole thing's redesigned to be modular.
Yeah, I mean, like we got asked to do this glue up presentation. The woodworking club is kind of like a club that meets every month, and they meet at Rockler. So they meet at a store that sells woodworking stuff.
Cool.
And when we built this thing, just to be able to show the glue up, like we built it at more of an angle, as you can kind of see in the gray one, but just to show. But it turns out it's not as good that angle. But anyways, he didn't kind of like, well, he didn't stress how crazy good of an idea it was, because it's like when we built the first one, we looked at it and we're like, why hasn't this been made before? And that's a genuine question.
Yeah.
These have been around. pipe clamps have been around forever, and how did no one make one of these yet?
Yeah.
So we made this little thing, and we also didn't want to compete with JLT because we're affiliates. You know, they actually sponsor us. And actually, side note is I just talked to them a couple days ago, and I actually offered to I reached out to them and asked if they wanted to partner on this product because they're already set up to make.
Sure.
You know.
They have all the marketing channels and all that stuff for this. So.
Yeah, and if they can actually produce them, and we can still put our logo on it and still make some money, but they do most of the work. Like, we would love to do that.
Yeah.
But for now, we are making them at this place called the Catapult Building. So it's this building. Okay, we built the first one and we made that first video, right? Someone who knew about us, but didn't really talk to us before. They follow our stuff on Facebook. He saw that and invited us to meet with him at this place. And so we get there and he's talking to us about woodwork because he's a woodworker. His name's Robert. I'm going to destroy his last name, so I'm not going to try that. But he's a good guy. He invited us there and he's like, yeah, check this out. And he opens these doors and there's just $1 million worth of machinery.
Nice.
Yeah, super nice, right? And instantly we knew it was going to be a come up because that first gray one you see there, the problem with making it at home, people are always saying they can, we'll just make it at home. People are going to make these all the time, right? But you don't.
Let me jump in real quick.
Yeah.
Just for anybody listening who is not tracking at all.
Gotcha.
Our audio won't be on our side. So, yeah.
Yeah,
So
sorry.
These are,
Luke, describe it.
yeah, so if you're familiar with the JLT clamps, it's the big angled clamp rack that sits on the wall. I'm sure you've seen them if you're tracking woodworking online at all. But it's a big basically multi-glue up clamp setup. It's modular. You can get it in different sizes, lengths, all that stuff. But it's made to, get your glue-ups done quickly where you're not gluing them up on a bench, you're not gluing them up on the floor, you're not messing with all your clamps, getting them down off the wall, getting them cleaned off and all that stuff. You've just it's basically a wall of clamps on an angle, so you just stack your wood in there, cinch it down, and do the next one right on top of it. And what they've got here is basically a mini benchtop version of that, utilizing pipe clamps. So it's a rack that sits on an angle on top of your bench, just a cantilevered rack. And we'll get into the specs, I'm sure. But it looks like, the one behind you, capacity is probably 15, 18 inches long, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
they're modular, so you can adjust your length of the rack, as well as obviously you can put different lengths of pipe in your pipe clamps.
yeah,
And that's what we're looking at, and I'll let y'all.
Yeah.
I'll pick it up.
Good jump in. Yeah.
But yeah, we wanted to make something that like anyone could use. And one of the issues with JLT is it's so expensive because you have to buy all of their clamps and you have to buy their rack. Whereas a lot of people have a couple 2-footers, a couple 3-footers, a couple 4-foot pipe clamps hanging up in their house, And so we made this so you can use any size pipe clamp in conjunction. And we only recommend going up to 36-inch wide on this thing. But it's mainly for boards. Each one of these could handle three rows, 36 inches wide by 4 foot long. The weight's not the problem. It's just the pipe itself. The pipe's the problem.
Whenever you get much length on a pipe clamp, even if it is, 3/4 or an inch,
Right.
It's not structural like an I-beam clamp or something like that.
Right.
It's good for squeeze force, but it's not going to keep things flat.
No.
Yeah. Once you get beyond, certain length.
Yeah, and we're actually working on sourcing Schedule 80 pipes instead of Schedule 40, and then offering those so there'd be less deflection. But
So how many prototypes do you guys go to first one that I see that you got mine for the other, the clean up, I got see you guys got there.
Guess 3
Yeah.
or 4.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we did a few different like whole redesigns, but the final like frame of it wasn't modified. I think it was only modified like 3 different times.
Yeah, I was actually figuring out the slot that holds these pipes.
Yeah.
This is actually what took like at least 8 different iterations or 10 different iterations, because we started with just like a regular hole.
I mean, if we're just going off like CAD design, it's like,
Oh, yeah.
it's like 20.
Okay, so Tyler had to learn like all of this. He learned Fusion 360 and how to like draw stuff in that. Sorry about that. Random compressors. We're in a shop.
I remember my compressor.
But he learned Fusion 360. He learned how to program the knee mill. We cut. So now we cut a slot. It's designed so that way when the pipe is like actually down, it's locked in. It doesn't slide. But when you lift it up a little bit, you can like slide it back and forth and like slide it out.
Is it just friction locked, or is it using the thread on the opposite end of the pipe?
It's just
friction.
It's just a friction lock. Where it locks in is actually only 1 10,000ths or 2 10,000ths of an inch bigger than the pipe. So it locks in really strong. We did a couple of demonstrations with all the different prototypes, and none of them ever slid out or anything. Even on the first one, which is arguably really slidey because it's like big holes, they never fell out.
Yeah,
That's cool.
But
So did you guys have any luck? I mean, I'm assuming it's still ongoing for trying to partner with JLT, but is that?
yeah, so here's what they told me. They love the idea. They love that it hits a different market. They'd love to partner with us, but they are 6 months out on JLT stuff as it is, right?
Oh wow.
So he's like, I'm gonna be honest with you, Tony. If it's not profitable enough, like we might not be able to do this regularly. So I know I have a good feeling we'll at least be able to like work with them and get like batches done. But if it's not more lucrative than their product they're already producing, then they're not gonna like focus on it. But
what would they bring to the mix other than basically just having the right marketing channels? Would they be manufacturing?
yeah, exactly. It's the manufacturing that we're mainly concerned about, right? Like Tyler and I can only like, unless we went through like 3 to 7 years of ramping up infrastructure around this product, we would really only max out at producing like 40 a month. And that would be like both of us full time hitting it. Whereas JLT, like they can actually produce this at the scale, but if they can't do it, then we're going to figure it out. Cause we've already found a machinist that can do the slots for us on a Haas CNC, and it's way faster and better. And then we also don't have to do it. And then we found it's actually one of the influencers we sent a rack to. Her dad has a plasma cutter, and he's going to be cutting the tabs. Like we have where it's modular right here on the top of the rack and on the side where you can connect them together and make like bigger racks. He'll be cutting those for us. So that'll take a lot of the time out of it. And then after that, Tyler, we have like this really awesome 4x8 metal table, and he set that whole thing up as a jig essentially. So he welded where all the pieces go. He welded right to that metal table. So one way or another, we'll be able to produce them. But if we can work with JLT, they'll just be able to be a bigger product.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious if that doesn't work out, have you guys looked into other domestic producers or even international producers for the product?
I want to keep it American. That's for sure. And then one thing we've looked into is finding a laser cutter of someone who
fiber laser.
A fiber laser that can cut box tube. We haven't been able to find anyone who does that, and that would just kind of eliminate more time. Most of the time is like assembly and then like finish work for us now at this point.
Yep.
But we're producing 20 right now.
Is a fiber laser like a wire EDM type?
I have no idea.
No, it's yeah, I don't know exactly, but I know that it just is really a really strong laser that can cut really precisely and fast.
Yeah, they do like 6-inch deep, like 6-inch
Yeah.
box and stuff. Crazy stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm wondering if
I heard the term.
I'm wondering if Rockler or Woodpeckers, I mean, those are kind of specialty tool makers, would go for something like this too. Because I'm curious with Rockler, they have a lot of their own brands, but I wonder how it is them taking over manufacturing for someone's, like, because there would be the lock miter, the box router bits. I think Rockler is producing those now for, I can't remember who developed that. Was it Klein? I don't remember. But the locking miters for boxes, Rockler makes those now. Freud makes one too. But I'm curious if they can take over something as long as you don't pull it up in blue kind of thing.
Yeah, I would rather work with JLT, like,
Yeah.
because like Tyler and I, like TNT, like what are we getting known for is like glue ups, right? Or we glue up shit all the time. And JLT, what are they known for in the whole world? Gluing up shit. And we actually, like, the president and the engineers and the owner, we actually have a relationship with them.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
Nice.
like,
I think, yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's a good match. I guess from my standpoint watching, I'm just curious to see if you guys take it from an idea to prototype to trying to get it manufactured, just kind of the different steps involved with that kind of, the different twists and turns you guys might have to go on to kind of bring this idea to market. Because I know Luke's got his thing he's trying to do with the Warhammer that he's about to kind of get into really next year. Also, it's a very different thing that you'll be doing.
Also, Rogue has a hammer. It's a lot lighter, but it's called the Rogue Warhammer.
That's important.
Yeah, I'm not today, and I'm pretty upset about it.
The Luke hammer.
I mean, I think I gotta stick with Warhammer.
Just call it Thor hammer.
Yeah.
It sounds almost the exact same.
Yeah, but I've already got like the domain and all that stuff set up. I've got my branding based around Warhammer that I paid money for a branding package. Like,
Like a trademark Warhammer. Warhammer is kind of a colloquial term.
no, it's just the name of one of their products. They're calling it the Rogue.
Yeah.
Obviously Rogue would be the trademark thing.
Yeah, Rogue Warhammer.
is this like a woodworking tool or just like a
It could be. I guess it could be a timber framing tool. No, it's I don't know if you've seen in the fitness industry, there's kind of a growing trend around mace bells, and it's basically a big weight on the end of kind of like an axe length handle.
Think of your Viking movie.
They swing them around and shit.
it's the next evolution of the kettlebell workout, right?
Yeah, so it's that. All the ones that really exist there are some hammer shaped ones, but on the commercial market, the 99% of the ones that exist are just a black steel handle with a black spherical weight on the end of it. Just got that matte black powder coat like all of your workout equipment does. But this one is a wooden, it's basically it's a 6x6x9 wooden block that's got steel straps around it and then a handle, like a wooden handle in it. I'm doing oak for the heads and a walnut handle, and they've got lead cores in them.
Oh, cool.
And then
Dang.
the steel straps are like lag bolted, lag screwed, whatever, into it. And I'll be able to offer different weights. So I'm thinking 15, 20, 25, and 30 or something like that.
That's going to be cool.
It's I think there's room in the market for it because they're all boring, but this one is not.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool DIY stuff that people have done, but nothing commercially available. So that's something I pretty well got my design hammered out. I'm going to take a couple months at the beginning of next year and really lean into the marketing and actually getting the brand and product launched.
How are you going to go about marketing? I'm just curious.
I mean, largely largely I'm going to stick to what I know, which is social media. I've talked to a lot of people in the fitness space who have pretty good followings and who are into this kind of thing, who are pretty interested in it. So go that route, the kind of influencer route. As far as actually getting into the fitness industry outside of social media, I don't know yet. That's something that I'm going to find out. I'm looking for, a mentor in that area.
Maybe you sponsor events that would host this type of tool for working out,
Yeah.
And then you just give them a couple to do that thing in. Maybe you never know.
Right. There's a lot of these on social media being used because they're just kind of fun to watch. I mean, there's some big name people, and then there's a bunch of smaller name people who kind of have made an identity around this type of workout.
Yeah.
Who have a following, because it's not something that very many people are educated about. If I handed you this thing, you would have no idea how to work out with it. But it is a very
Hey, I've seen some TikToks. All right.
Yeah, right.
I've seen some TikToks.
Yeah, and I say you collectively because I don't either.
Yeah.
That's also something that if I'm going to sell these things, I need to probably know how to use them right.
Yeah.
But there's so much going on social media with these that I think I could probably get it to the capacity that I can handle fairly easily. And then beyond that, just hopefully use that growth to kind of kick this thing over to a company that I own, but I'm not actually building them.
Gotcha.
I still, with my furniture, it's just me. It's always going to be just me. I want to be in charge. I want to be building everything. But this is very much a project that I would love to get off the ground and then just manage.
Yeah.
So it would be something that I would have a separate line, probably a separate building, and have, employee or employees actually manufacturing these things.
Man, employees are so tough. They're so tough.
Yeah. I don't want one for the furniture, but this would be something that is from a production standpoint. You're going to have quality control standards, and things have to be the way they have to be. Whereas there's no real decision making at that point. Whereas with the furniture, every move is a decision that I want to make. I don't want to let somebody else make.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we're approaching marketing with the glue clamp kind of the same way. We had a stack of metal outside, so we were able to make a lot of prototypes, and we were able to make 6 of them that we gave out to 4 influencers. It was going to be 5, but one of them he got what is it called?
You got deployed?
Deployed, yeah. There it is. And so he's like,
you can take the clamp rack with you.
Yeah, he just said, I don't know when I'll be back.
I
So
he was gonna say it disease.
Yeah. What's the word?
Yeah.
Nah, but we're not by any means big influencers, we're just starting out still. And we were able to do just ourselves 10 pre-orders, right? We were able to, and so one of our friends is Triple L Rustic Design, and he's like a much bigger YouTuber. He has almost 500,000 followers. So he's going to make a video for us, and he's actually right down the road. So that's actually really cool. He helps us out a lot. He does all of our flattening for us, and he's pretty cool. And then a couple of the other Instagram influencers, we sent them some. So hopefully that'll help. We couldn't really afford to send out more, but
shipping alone.
Yeah, shipping alone.
Jesus.
We chose the most expensive route to ship these because we were kind of lazy bones. But next time we're gonna set everything up a little better. This time we're producing 20.
Are you guys palletizing these and freight shipping them?
Oh man, I'll send you a picture later. But basically, Bidwell was sponsoring the shipping because we use their tape and we put cardboard essentially around it, and then we use just a bunch of tape to tape it all up into a custom box. And we layered it. We made sure it was protected, and like we reinforced it with hardwoods, you know, so it wouldn't get dented or anything. But it was a lot of tape. It was a lot. It was like
What price point are you shooting for, please?
Okay, so we right from the beginning we wanted to make it cheap enough that like a lot of people it would be a no-brainer for them, right? So like I was thinking like, oh, we could do this for $350, Tyler. You know what I'm saying? We can do this for $350. That's a good price point. No-brainer for people, $350. So he made the first one, and it took like 5 days, 6 days, and when he was done, all the clamps didn't line up, right? So it was like, okay, rats. So let's make some more. The only thing you can do is make more and try to make it better, right? So our first idea was, because we were using a drill press, we had no thought of using better machines yet, right?
Yeah.
We were just using the drill press. Oh, we're gonna put a piece of 1/4-inch steel below and above the holes, so that way they're all the same. That didn't work either. They didn't line up. So Tyler spent like hours filing these holes so they would line up, right? Because that's essentially it needs to be. Glue up surface needs to be flat for it to work. Otherwise, you got twisted boards. All right, so still a problem there. Crap, how do we do this? And that's when we got invited to the catapult building, and then Tyler is familiar.
That's how we do this.
Yeah, that's how we do this. He's familiar with a mill, so they have this big $25,000 knee mill there, and we went through that, learned how to cut the holes precisely. And what's really
like a collective building?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Like a makerspace type thing?
Yep. That's exactly what it is.
So we have a couple maker spaces here, but it sounds like yours is more of an incubator too for emerging businesses or prototypes.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's a pretty cool add-on too, because here we've got a couple spaces where you can get a membership and have access to a litany of machines, but that's kind of it. It's just kind of like it's like a gym almost.
Yeah,
There's
there's people on site who can kind of tell you how to use it if you don't know how to use it, but there's no really larger goal other than just getting you access to these machines.
Yeah,
Right.
like a mill and like a 4-post lift and a laser cutter and a couple other,
printers, good sized joiners and planers.
yeah, stuff like that. And then it's just, we know how to use this. Like we said, talk to old Joe in the corner. You know, use all this stuff. Well, how do I bring it to market? I don't know. We just got tools here. Good luck.
The catapult building has everything. Like they have state-of-the-art equipment. They have people there that are like literally like paid to help you.
Yeah.
And like
That's awesome.
there's a lot of people you can cooperate with. Like the machinist that's actually doing our holes now, like we found him there. But as far as price point goes, by the time we like opened pre-orders and we had the purple and black one that like on the videos that kind of went viral, those ones we determined like, okay, it has to be $500 because of how much time it takes. Like if we were going to build them, like we're not a big company. It's just kind of how it had to be $500. Well, then we learned how to actually produce them on these machines and like what it takes. And we wanted to upgrade the steel because we were worried about bending, if someone put too much weight, we'd rather it be heavy duty and like say that it only does this. And so it never bends or something.
Yeah.
But when we got through with that, we realized like in order to like actually make a profit on these, which you got to do, right? We have to make it $600. And so they're $600 as of now. If we work with JLT or someone, we'll probably be able to reduce that. But $600.
So does that include your pipes and clamps?
Nope, it's just the rack.
So that's just the rack. Gotcha.
Just the rack.
So y'all aren't selling pipes and pipe clamps.
Not yet.
You buy the rack and build your own, right?
Yeah, we're working on getting the Schedule 80 pipes so people don't have to source those, and we're gonna cut them to length and thread them, and we're gonna thread them really good and straight. And then because we're really nobodies in the social media world, none of the clamp people that like Bessie or Pony, none of them like got back to me about being able to distribute or anything. But we're still working on that. I think at some point.
I think this. I don't think the price point's bad at all for what you guys are offering. But I also think that once you get to like a package thing, I mean, I could definitely see like the $1,000 bench top clamping system, like a bench top precision clamping system,
Yeah.
where it's like, everything's straight and lined up. The pipe is all high quality. It's decent quality. The actual clamps that go on there. I
Right.
could see a lot of folks just wanting to get that because, I mean, even from where I was starting out, I'm not sure that I would have been able to afford the $1,000 right up front, but I know that it would have been. I would at least consider given the limited space I had to work in.
Yeah.
And especially for people starting off, you just do a lot of cutting boards and how modular those things can be. I think it'd be a pretty cool pitch to get someone who's kind of maybe still kind of starting out, but looking to get more serious and that doesn't have a ton of space.
Yeah.
To use something like that.
That's kind of what I was thinking of for a, kind of a group that you want to be marketing to. Obviously, woodworkers, as
Right.
a whole, right? But more specifically, will be I'm seeing cutting boards.
Yeah, I mean, cutting
One
boards,
problem-
cabinet doors and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like small boards within 36 by 4 foot. Like you could do these all day. We're trying to hit the home woodworker, right? Like not people that have like a dedicated shop where they can have room for a JLT. It's like people who are in their garage. They want to do a lot of glue ups. So this actually gives you triple the amount of space of doing a glue up on a table. And then if you do your glue up on your build table, now your build table is dedicated until this thing dries, So it's just, we come from a place like before we had the JLT, we were actually doing pipe clamps and then scattering them all over our shop, our little shop, right? That was back.
Every table, every
table was packed
surface.
up. Couldn't put it on the floor because our floor in there was not flat. It sloped like a lot. But we went from that to the JLT. So we had a big jump, right? But if we weren't in the position where we could have gotten this JLT, we would have totally found this sooner. It's just doing glue ups and scattering them out is just such a pain. And if you do a lot of glue ups, especially cutting boards, like you look at this and you can instantly see like its value, at least from our perspective.
To me, what I think would be cool is when you stack them on top of each other, does the one that go on top back set a little bit? Like, will it feed into the pipes, then kind of step back a few inches? So that way, if I had stacked like 2 or 3 on top, they're not going to tilt all the way over. They kind of stay going up.
Do you stack the racks on top of each other?
Can you stack racks on top of each other?
So the rack, like this top here, the frame that holds the pipe clamps, you can actually buy another one and bolt it right to the top. So you could have 6 rows instead of 3 rows. And then it also bolts to the side. So you have 8 foot if you wanted to, or 6 foot if you wanted to, instead of 3 foot.
Because I'm seeing it where if you had like kind of a Z-shaped adapter between the first level and second level, that kind of keeps your weight distributed evenly over the feet. You can stack them up maybe 3 high doing that, and then throw a couple casters on the bottom with some maybe extended feet or something like that.
Oh, we're working on a caster base for this thing. So
I was hoping I said it first so I could talk myself into 100%, But a caster system with some like an extended leg caster system on that, or I can stack up 3 high. I mean, to me, I'm thinking of like my door drying rack for when we spray cabinet doors and stuff. Just being able to have a little mobile thing around there. And Luke and I talked about the clamp racks in the sense, not like this for storage.
Right.
Anything you can make mobile and not have to take up, especially in a small shop, table space is such
valuable, right?
But if I'm going to dedicate that space to it, I'd almost rather just give it to a corner of my shop that I can then completely break down and store when I'm not using. I think is really a cool idea that people will hopefully take advantage of. I think it's a neat product.
Yeah, I mean it's a 15. So depending on like what size pipe clamps you use, like again, we recommend 36-inch wide glue ups. So you're gonna want a 42-inch pipe. You're not gonna have much sticking out the back if you use it at the full 36. But if you're doing something smaller, like you want to take it down to 20 inches or something, you're gonna have that extra pipe sticking out the back. So like if you have like a pretty set glue up dimension that you generally do, then you're going to set up your pipes and you can have this pressed up against the wall. Like if you're going to be varying between 36 and like 12 inches a lot, then you want to space that away from the wall like 15 inches, and because it's at an angle. Now, the angle that it's at supports the weight, so you can have this thing filled up and it won't fall. We do have holes and tabs in the bottom of the feet, so you can actually like lock it down however you want. But it's
Yeah, we've stacked them 3 high, done glue ups.
yeah,
all
when
the
we
way
did our
up.
live
Nice.
demonstration with this one, we bolted 4 of them together long ways, and then another rack on top. So it's like we had 6 racks in total, and so we bolted 4 this way, and then 2 more on top in the middle, and we filled the whole thing up. You know, so we had a 9-foot long by 30-inch wide Sapelli glue up. We had a bunch of big wide heavy duty glue ups. So it can handle the weight. It's a good tool. Like we really generally believe, because we do a lot of glue ups, right? We would know if this thing sucked, and we would, and like we're building our name, right? So we're not going to promote something that sucks, especially if we're building our name. And we're known for glue ups, so we wanted to make it actually awesome. Like where we're coming from is like, if we couldn't have had the JLT, how awesome. We want to make this thing awesome enough that you don't think about it. Like it's just the tool that's there. It's like all reliable. You're just like your pipe.
Have you find yourself using them in the shop on top of your JLT systems?
I mean, there's we've only done it for the demonstrations, because if you have a JLT, you're not gonna, like, there's no reason, you know, like the JLT, you know, we have, I mean, geez, we have like 50 something clamps on this thing, you know. If we just,
those are the questions that you lie about.
Yeah, you go.
So, oh yeah, we had to learn. You know,
We actually have a bracket.
got ourselves using it a ton.
well,
I mean, we tested to failure, you know. That's what we do. We test it till it breaks, and then, you know, we up a gauge.
yeah, like,
You know.
like on this one, the reason that there's not clamps in the bottom is because we were like, okay, we're gonna show off a 4x8 glue up. You know, we're gonna freaking do it, even though it's not rated for it. We wanted to show it off, but when we tried it, we torqued. It was way too much, and we bent a couple of the holes. Yeah.
I mean,
So
that's a huge moment on it.
yeah, luckily we did that before the live stream and not during the live stream. But that's where we found our recommendation, because we did 36 inches and it wasn't even an issue. But it's like from 36 to 48, all of a sudden it was a big deal.
I wonder if eventually, I'm looking at it, so my brain's just spinning about it. Eventually, if you get rid of that, if there's a way to kind of weld in a backstop above where the pipes go in, so that little pinch clamp on the back, you can just basically get rid of.
No, the reason you can't do that is because there's not enough room on the steel to give you enough bite on your glue up. So it's not going to act.
If you extended that, if you welded on
like a flat portion.
Yeah, just a flat bar all the way across. You get rid of that backstop. That friction set seems strong enough for you guys. Just, you know, make it that way, instead of having to adjust everything, just the clamp, you really just lift and slide the pipe in and out. And that way, when you're actually doing your glue up, if you're a little bit off, you just slide up, you lift all your clamps a little bit, slide them back, and then just start cranking them down.
Yeah,
I wonder if you could put more surface area to it.
We thought about that with different size pipes. Like we actually kind of went through that idea. And as far as production costs, like we are trying to keep this cheap for people. Like,
sure.
We, you know, like most woodworkers are gonna hear of like a $600 tool and be like, what the hell? Like, man, we have already gotten roasted for the price, like completely roasted. But
yeah,
I know.
people crack me up.
I hear that, but people, like, I see woodpeckers in everyone's shop, it seems like, and all these other expensive tools. Where at a certain point you're like, I want to do this thing, and this tool makes my life and job easier, so I'm just going to get it.
It's funny to me when, you know, even hobbyist woodworkers, and I don't mean this as a dig to anybody, so if it hurts your feelings, whatever. But, you know, take the domino, for example. Everybody's like, oh yeah, that must be nice, or I wish I had one of those, or yada yada yada. I'm like, it's $1,000. If you are woodworking in any capacity, you should be prepared to spend $1,000 on a tool that will make you $1,000 back very quickly.
Easily.
Dude, the domino is a game changer. God dang, like
Yeah, just the amount of sanding that we don't have to do because of that thing, dude.
Exactly, and that's just one example. But you look at, you know, your Marco Sanders or your festival, anything really. It's, yes, this stuff costs money, but if you want to crank out a good project in a reasonable amount of time, and if you're trying to monetize this hobby at all, you need to invest in tools.
Dude, you're so right.
Yeah,
Can you do
for sure.
these things? Can you do these things without buying tools? Yes.
Yeah.
But if you buy good tools, can you do these things faster, better, thus more money? Absolutely. So it's a matter of
More accurately with less skill,
right.
Yeah.
I got
You could rip saw an 8-quarter board with a handsaw if you wanted to.
if you want to,
But I bet you have a skill set.
Yeah.
Right. So just take that a step further and understand in a full-time setting, you can figure on spending $1,000 on something probably once a week.
Yeah, well, the thing.
Oh, geez Louise, man. Once a week. Pump the brakes. God dang.
To me, I think a lot of it too comes down to exposure of the tools. Too. Everyone's familiar with what Lowe's Home Depot has, some hand-me-down sander and this and that. Where when I finally made the jump into getting like my Festool orbital sander and dust collector, I was like, this is so stupid. I should have had this a year ago.
Right.
It's so much better.
I got my extractor in today.
Oh, nice. Have you played with it yet?
No, I came in. I was pulling out.
Is the extractor worth the upgrade from?
Yes.
What? Why? I want to know why, because I'm such a skeptic. Okay, so we have.
Like a 2-stage rigid with the dust deputy cyclone on
No.
No.
Whoa. One stage rigid. We just put we put the bag in there and the filter, so double. And we have the $30 Amazon kit that has the whole adapter in the tube.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We're having great results. So
I would
I'm
say-
interested to hear.
Give you my testimony. Because I'm rocking the 1-stage rigid, no upgrades. It's been riding with me.
No bag in it, just the
I'm
filter.
not even sure he's got a filter. I think it just blows the dust out.
I do have a filter. It's just the filter that came with it.
Oh, okay. So you don't even have the bag in there. I got you.
No, yeah. So I came over to Anthony's last week to help him. He's building some furniture. So that's exciting. But I came over to kind of help him walk through some joinery and stuff. And brought over a table base for me to sand while he was working. Hooked up to his extractor. I didn't realize if you plug your tool into it and then you turn your sander on, the machine, the vacuum turns on.
Yeah.
Which is super dope. So I didn't realize that. Once I realized that, I got on my phone to order it. And then it's also way quieter than the rigid. Those rigids are loud as shit.
Yeah, they're
That's
loud.
That's louder than my plumbed-in dust collector. So it's super quiet, and just that auto-on feature is really cool. But I can't give too much use testimony because it's still in the box. But you don't have to empty it hardly ever. Bags are disposable. You can reuse them if you want.
Yeah.
But they're like $40 for a pack of 5 or something like that.
Yeah,
I highly recommend.
So I went from the 1-stage rigid with the bag and the filter and the little diffuser sponge thing and the exhaust port thing to just try to cut down any dust blowing in the shop. And that was upgrading from Luke's previous setup where it just was the filter
Technically still.
Sorry.
And just having to take the filter out and play soccer with it around the driveway to kick all the dust and stuff out of it. So
Sometimes I just throw it.
Yeah, throwing it works, getting the air compressor in there and blowing it out,
Shoo.
I had a cabinet refinishing job that I had booked someone else to do the spraying for, and that fell through. And so I said, well, now I've got to do it, and I'm coming with all I've got is my 2-stage rigid and all this stuff. And I was like, well, if there's ever been an excuse to go buy all the tools you buy for now's an opportunity. So I went out and got the CT36 Festool dust extractor. I got the ECS 150 kind of palm sander, Festool palm sander, and I got the Surf Prep 3x4 inch sander. And just the ergonomics of using, just the sanders themselves are leagues better than anything I'd ever used. Just way less vibration. My hand isn't sore and tingly after I've been using it for hours. The finish is better. The dust collection is better, just to anything.
We're talking about the extractors here.
But let me get the extractor. There's no dust. I mean, so I'm in someone's kitchen, and before I've got everything all, I started putting, I put paper out and plastic and everything to protect the different rooms. But there wasn't dust. There's no dust in the air around you. You're not sneezing, blowing wood dust out your nose the next day and hacking up a lawn. It's just, it seems like it's getting 99.9% of the dust coming out of there. And the fact that, like Luke said, it's super quiet. The auto on feature is great. The casters on it are honestly great. You can do that thing will follow you around the shop like a dog that loves you. Whereas the rigid, you drag that thing around. I don't know why when the rigid, you pull the hose towards you, it slings sideways.
Yeah, I know.
Like you're pulling a tube behind a boat or something.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I've had it pull away. Pull it straight to you, it starts running that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's got a mind of its own. So
physics. I don't know.
I would say the price did go up recently. I paid. I was mistaken in the price I gave Luke, but it's gone up about I think $150 now since when I bought it.
Yeah, Anthony was like, it's $400.
It's like $400, man. It was probably like 5 or 6 when I bought it.
Yeah, I got paid.
But
Boys, you haven't convinced me. You haven't convinced me.
just go. Again, it's about exposure. Just go use one, and you'll be like, oh, obviously.
Yeah.
Well,
We'll make Tyrone get one.
yeah, well, Tyrone, at our finish shop, it would actually make sense. But here, because now we actually don't do the finishing here.
Yeah.
Been an evolution since you talked to us last.
Oh, I've seen the fancy epoxy room.
Yeah, that's the finish shop. That's the finish shop. And so Tyrone could benefit from one of those, but over here, we jump between sanders, routers, chop saws too frequently, and it would just.
I mean, I put that thing up to my routers, to my track saw, all that stuff, and it gets pretty much everything.
Anthony, you can lead a horse to water, but
you can't make it. Well, I tell you what, Tyrone gets one of these things. You'll hook up one of your routers. You'll hook up like one of your Festool track saws to it. You'll go, Tyrone, this is ours now. We'll have to get you another one.
Yeah, that's the idea.
That's what we already do. He's probably watching this right now, so this is going to be kind of funny. But that's kind of the idea. He got the domino, and we use the domino.
No, we use the domino.
We use the domino, but no, domino's a game changer. That's for
Especially
sure.
for finishing too. Like, I have a much bigger shop now than I had before. But when you're sanding and wanting to get to finishing sooner, there's still dust and stuff in the air, and you get done with sanding, and you're like, oh, cool, I'm done. You finish. Where is all this coming from? Oh, it's because your dust collection sucks.
Right.
And you're not. It's just you have to sit there and sand, have like an air cleaner, above you, wait a couple hours, and then come wipe the table off again with a tack cloth to get all the dust that finally settled. So having it really. I mean, I should do a tack cloth experiment between my rigid with my DeWalt sander versus the Festool sander with the Festool dust collection. And just sand an area down, just do a tack cloth wipe, and see how much I'm actually pulling up.
Well,
or just only use oil finishes.
Well, and it's cool too, because what's that?
Or just only use oil finishes.
Exactly. But the other thing too is going between grits. It's another danger because if you jump from one grit to another and you don't really wipe the table down, you can still have grit or sawdust from the previous grit still on the table. You go back on top of it now with the next higher grit, and you're just rubbing some of that thicker dust in there and creating scratches and stuff. So being able to really get all that dust off, I think, helps get you a better finish. The system seems to work really well for me.
I think a lot of it is
Tyrone's review.
I think a lot of it though is the Festool sanders. Like we don't use the DeWalt's. When we upgraded to the Festools, it was night and day, right? And then we got a Rotex, and then that was even more insane. Yeah, now we have 2 Rotexes.
You've got the Rotex, Luke. I've got the Bosch Rotex knock. I don't know who knocked off who, to be honest. They're the same sander, it seems like.
Yeah.
But are they though? Have you tried the Rotex versus that?
So I went from the I have the 6-inch Bosch Rotex, whatever it's called, the 6-inch. You've got the ROS mode or just the turbo. But so I went from that one to the Festool. I was gonna get the new model of the Bosch, but it wasn't available. it was on back order. The Festool was available at twice the cost. Well, I needed a sander. Mine broke, and I couldn't just not work, so I just bought the Festool. I love it, but I honestly think I like the ergonomics on the Bosch better.
Oh, I could believe that because that thing's like
The,
freaking.
It's like exactly how we ended up with our first Rotex.
I've got the model that you wanted to order.
Yeah. And honestly, the performance I feel like is the same, except
Okay.
for the Festool dust collection is a little bit better.
I'm sure the Festool was.
But everything else about it is the same. So if I was buying a 6-inch Rotex,
You might go for the Bosch.
and all the options were available, I'd probably go for the Bosch.
That's why we got the Rotex actually
Yeah.
too. Is the same reason because the Bosch wasn't available and
Yep.
that was half the price.
Yeah.
But once we got the Rotex, it's funny enough, Tyrone actually got his own Rotex, but because of the setup we have, he never uses it, so we just took it. You know?
You guys need to have like every Friday Tyrone's tool review, and like he reviews a tool, and then at the end of the episode, you guys just take it from him. You can't have this anymore. This is episode.
And drop it directly on the ground every time.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, just complete disrespect. For the tools. Would be perfect. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's for a lot of folks, though. I think I didn't personally know anybody really besides Luke, but we kind of came up with tools kind of around the same time to certain things. There's been a couple things that one of us has been able to try out first with the other person, but beyond that, like most people I know didn't have like a Festool anything or any of these high dollar tools. And so I think it's easy for people to kind of like what you're talking about, people are giving you a hard time for your price point and stuff. It's like, just go try what the $500 or $1,000 tool does before you poo-poo it. Because you might use it one time and go, oh, this is like no shit. Yeah, no shit. This thing is way better. I immediately am going like sanding sucks, but if you have a good sander and good dust collection, it sucks less.
It sucks way less.
Sucks
It
less.
sucks way less.
Yeah.
And or like my first planer was the DeWalt 735. It's a jet engine.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is the loudest tool I've ever used. You catch one weird spot on your wood and you chip the blade. You gotta go through that.
I'm glad that a portable planer for your small garage wood shop.
I think they should ban knife cutter heads on any planers or joiners. I don't know why they.
If you're gonna put knives on it, it needs some power.
Yeah, a lot of
You've got like these little rigid DeWalt lunchbox planers.
Get the Helix. Do
the
it.
Helix, so that's what I did.
Sure, get the Helix, but when you get the DeWalt with the Helix, spend $200 more. You can get a helical head Grizzly.
Yeah.
Oh, really? That's the price difference?
Yeah, pretty close, yeah.
Dang.
Not at a 13-inch width, but I mean, if you're getting like a 6-inch helical Grizzly, you can get it for what, like $1,100 or $1,200.
I know that the DeWalt 735X or 785X, whatever the planer is, that I think with the standard cutting head is about $700.
Yeah.
You can order it with the Helix head pre-installed. I think it's about 12 or 13.
Yeah,
But that's still not $4,000 for like a 20-inch
Oh
helical.
no, but if you go with like a Grizzly 15-inch helical head planer, you're looking at probably what, 18?
Oh, really?
I don't know why I was on Joiner.
Yeah.
For what now?
Like a 15-inch Grizzly planer helical cutting head.
Then that's-
yeah. I paid $1,600 for mine used.
Yeah. And you
Oh.
can
It's a 15-inch.
But I'll say, but even then, like if budget's the driving force, like, oh, I'll get by with this, and like try one with the Helix cutter head. When I got mine, 6 months later, someone was selling a DeWalt with the Helix cutter head for the same price used, for the same price I paid for mine new. So I went and bought that. I then sold my other DeWalt with the knives in it for I think $50 less than I bought it.
Yeah, I mean,
Awesome.
dude,
So it's like a free upgrade.
But it was still lacking, even with the
It was
helical head.
lacking,
still
but even
lacking.
stuff, just like comfort in the shop makes such a big difference. The fact that I had to wear earplugs with the knives and didn't have to wear earplugs with the Helix cutter head. And oh yeah, I could like put decent wood through it without bogging the thing down. Makes a huge difference. I'm like, just that cost of upgrading, I'm like, people are like, oh, I want to pay this much for a planer, I can get it for this much. I'm like, just go use the better one.
Yeah.
One time.
I think a majority of woodworkers, like, there's like a couple different categories, but two of those I'll define. And that's like, there's the guys that you know, they have like some tools, they like woodworking, they do like a project here and there, you know, like they're not like making money from it. They're like, it's more of a hobby, you know. They no fest tools, nothing, not our rack. They're not gonna, those aren't gonna be the people that get them because like they just can't see investing that into a tool. And then there's the people like the hobbyists that want to make money, but like they got, you know, they got their full-time jobs and they don't have a lot of space, right? So they're going to be really budget oriented, and they might get one of our racks. They might get a Festool. They should get a Festool sander if anything, because that's going to, you know. But and then
But not the extractor though.
Yeah, no, nope. You're gonna stick to the rigid with the bag because it's only like $100 and you're out the door.
It's $100 out the door for a reason.
No, I mean, I definitely see that point, and like, I think it's easy looking back now having these tools to be like, what are these idiots doing not buying these expensive tools? Like, I was definitely there at that point, but constantly searching Facebook Marketplace, looking for deals, looking for places where I could upgrade while still not spending all of my money to try to get those little, I mean, I kind of had, and that was really before I was really dead set on like making this a job. It was just like, if I'm doing this, I want to.
Well, dude, one thing that I like to tell people is there's Google it. It's IRS auctions. Has nothing to do with your taxes. IRS auctions, right? And it's this auction company that apparently a buttload of woodworking factories are going out of business all the time, right? So they're doing these auctions all the time, all over the country, and like our 5 horsepower, 12-inch heavy duty grizzly saw table, 52 inches wide, whatever, we got it for $500.
That's awesome.
You know, and it's like a
That's awesome.
$3,000 table saw or something, you know. So that's a great place to find really good tools for really cheap. Now the only kick is you have to go pick it up wherever it is. You have to go get it, but it's totally worth it.
GSAauctions.gov and govdeals.com also have, they're all government auctions.
A surprising amount of woodworking machines come out of.
Yeah, you'll have a technical school closed down or like a high school. Less and less these days, but when I was starting off, I'd see it.
Yeah, every military base has a machine, has a woodworking shop on it.
Or a
they
lot
keep updated, like they've replaced their machines pretty recently.
And as every high school closes down their shop class, they've gotten rid of their stuff and it goes to these government auction websites. And I've tried to buy some stuff from there before. I just the auction.
You got to go to the private auctions, man. The government auctions, they're always going to be like just like a planer or something. But like if you want, like we would love to be able to do it, but it's like a sliding table saw, eliminate the joiner. Oh, that'd be so nice.
I want a sliding table saw so bad. I got a buddy of mine out next to our Canary workshop. I don't know if you guys follow him out there. He just upgraded to a sliding table saw. I was like, how much space does it actually take up? It's like all of it.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
I've got room for one.
You've got it for one, but it's like it tastes like it's like 20 feet of depth, like 15 feet of width. It takes up much easily. It's no shot for this.
Yeah, and we're set up for that here, because like we only have a what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 big tools, and like that's really all we need for woodworking for what we do. You know, so like a sliding table saw to replace this would be perfect. You know, we have in front of the table saw is like a big open space, and like basically around it, it's big and open. So we would love to have one of those, but
I'm set up kind of the same way. I've got a lot of space, and I really don't have that many machines, right? I've got a big joiner, I've got a planer, I've got a table saw with a big outfeed, and I've got a 4x8 assembly table. But that's like my biggest footprints, other than storage, and the rest of it is just kind of free space. So I could definitely utilize that more. I think a sliding table saw is the only real significant upgrade I need, other than, which is a long ways off, getting either a
dude, we need a wide belt sander.
CNC,
That's what
or
we
a
need.
wide, I was gonna say a 4x8 CNC or a 52 inch.
wide.
Oh, going for the 52 right away, huh? Dude.
I built tables, dude.
Yeah.
Luke and I are both trying to convince the other person to buy a 52-inch wide belt sander.
Can you move to Florida first so we can use it?
Yeah.
No.
Hey,
Still bitter at that.
when the sea levels rise, Plant City is going to be the next coastal territory. Yeah.
You're well positioned.
Yeah, we
That's
are.
some-
Like I'm
that's
from
some
Nate.
next level prepping. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It is. It's I'm from Naples, right? And so that's like a really uppity beach town. And so Plant City is going to turn into the next Naples. So we're ahead of here. We're already in the right location. We already got the right countertops going.
So going back to like the tool stuff, when you guys were first starting out, like what was y'all's tool setup before you guys were kind of upgrades all the club?
Oh, so
Picking up box of drills I found on the side of the
That's
road.
right. Yeah.
our first
Fell off the truck.
2 tools, I guess. No, 3 tools.
Yeah.
A really good DeWalt Impact, one of the old school ones with
NiCad.
NiCad. It's a real hammer.
Nice.
Real
So
hammer.
did y'all start like from the Genesis? Y'all were working together.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
We started doing farming and then home renovation before we got into woodworking. But our first tools were that impact drill, and then we screwed a skill saw to a bottom of a piece of wood, and that was our table saw. No fence.
That'll work.
And then we had a chop saw that had no safety features.
Yeah.
It was something like we found in a bottom
Yeah, I
of a
still
pile
have
or
a
something.
scar from the guard.
Always.
Yeah, the guard for the blade, you know, it went into the blade while I was chopping something and exploded and like stuck in my chest.
Nice.
Yeah.
But you know,
That's what you get for using safety features.
right? So you know,
But-
took them off.
We started
Did you
there,
say-
and then
did you say farming and home renovation?
so we started in farming, and that was terrible. So we built now to like, well, you have to do it at scale. Like we're on 4 acres, and we only tried to farm like a half acre, and we tried like growing like flowers and herbs and selling them at markets, and we tried doing vegetables, and we tried all these things, and it never really worked out. But while we were making all these greenhouses and the infrastructure around it, we ended up buying tools because like we made some money, but it was really only enough to buy these tools and like just barely skate by, you know.
Yeah.
And but we had these tools, and so then we're actually pretty good with our hands. We knew that Tyler had a ton of experience doing building stuff, fabrication. I had like 0, but we were like, why don't we just be handymen, you know? So we spray painted a sign that said licensed handyman and a phone number, and we stuck them
Nice.
all over the place. You know, we drove around sticking them, and sure enough, it was great business.
So did y'all just decide like
Work is good work. I mean, everyone needs someone to do a little thing, and they're happy to pay you just about whatever you ask for. Just be like, we called a plumber, and no one's coming. Call an electrician, no one's coming. I'm like, yeah, I'll just change your switch or
Right.
unplug or put in a new toilet. That's $300. You're like, thank you. I
Mhm.
prayed, and God sent you to me. Like, okay, cool.
Right.
As long as that clears later, you know.
yeah, it was.
So did y'all just before all this, like before the farming started, did y'all just like look at each other and go, okay, we don't want real jobs, so what's it gonna be?
Well,
Yeah, what was the genesis of this partnership?
Yeah, I mean,
Same. Cool. You guys had lunch together one day, put down the finger paint. You were like team for life, or like what's the story there?
yeah, we met in a hydro shop, and that's pretty much where we started. But like individually, we kind of came to the same conclusion, and then just kind of started working together. You know?
Yeah, like I volunteered one time at a friend's shop because he was like going out of town for some reason, right? And Tyler walked in, and we just started talking about whatever we were talking about. And then this friend calls me again. He's like, "Hey, can you just do it again for me?" And it was like a couple weeks later, and it just so happens he walked in again. We don't have like a phone number. He didn't. I don't even know if he had a phone at the
I
time.
didn't have a phone,
Right. And like we started talking again, right? And so like we end up hanging out, and like we start talking about like what we want to do, and it's like we have like all the same plans, right? And he has access to land that we can use at the time, which was essentially this land that we own now, but like at the time we didn't. He had access to that, and then I had some connections, and together we just kind of like just started trying stuff. you know, and we just started trying stuff, and that was farming at first because we're like Plant City, we fucking farm, you know.
Right?
Yeah,
But-
we got plants.
Yeah, dude.
You know,
It just needs sun and water.
Yeah.
What else do you
We
need?
got plenty of it.
yeah. But that's kind of how it started, and then like slowly but surely, like through the handyman home renovation thing, we actually had a lot of woodworking work, and we didn't know how to do it at the time, but that's where we learned. We got paid to learn, right? And essentially, what we figured out for woodworking is like you just kind of like got to measure right, and then cut where you measure, you know, and then you essentially are gonna have success.
It's super easy. Right?
Yeah.
Like you gotta take your wood and make it the right shape.
Right.
Yeah, and
And
then
then you gotta,
Right.
you gotta. All you have to do
that's all there is to
All
it.
you have to do is get rid of the parts that you don't want.
Exactly.
You know, just take the tree.
Subtractive manufacturing.
But that's really what it is, you know, like
Yeah.
you can take it up levels and you can like
The
put
correct
these
way and method and like
these
looking
crazy
at the
joints and
board
whatnot, but like
Yeah.
you know, you as long as they fit, you can get it together with some glues and screws and dominoes and whatever, you know.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's you guys have. It seems to be kind of a really good partnership in business. So how long have you guys actually been working together on all these different projects?
7 years,
I don't know.
it's either like 6 or 7 or something like that, you know.
That's I think that's really impressive. I mean,
In
partnerships.
every relationship,
Yeah, these
somebody
seven.
needs to know the anniversary. You can't both look at each other.
Yeah.
It's more like that, you know. It's just never once have we like fought. Like we've had disagreements, but like we just kind of like discuss what the best path forward is.
Yeah.
But we've
We
never,
get sassy every now and then.
yeah, we'll throw a little salt here and there, but
You
like
have to.
we've just never had a problem, you know. And we never had to discuss about it. Like it's just been seamless. Like one of the advantages that like Tyler and I have in this world is like we've never had to talk about it, but somehow we're like in perfect sync when it comes to working, right? Like
Yeah.
the best analogy for
love
this
that, yeah.
is like the jointer, right? When you're doing 12-foot long pieces and like you don't have a roller set up, like we weren't smart at first, we should have got a roller set up, but you're doing them two-man, like you got to know how each other moves on a board, so that way like it's held in the right orientation through the whole jointer, right? Never talked about it right off the bat. We're slinging fucking 12-foot 8/4 Purple Heart that's warped like a motherfucker, right?
Yeah.
So
That's a great example. I was helping a buddy last weekend. He's a good buddy. He doesn't know anything about woodworking. He's decent with his hands. He's an engineer. But yeah, I was like, oh, hell, give me a hand with this big piece so we can get it jointed. And it got to the point where I'm like, you know what? I'll just do it. Like,
Yep. Don't worry about it.
yeah, dude, because the jointer
Because it's that. It's like, well, I need you back here supporting this.
and doing this and
Your-
holding
your
it there.
job is to hold it up, but I also want you to kind of read me on how much I'm pushing, so you can help me push too. But I don't want you twisting the board. I've got that part up here. But then, once we get to where you don't need to support your end anymore, you need to be on the other side.
And you need to transfer
Don't
load.
touch it. Don't touch it until it's overhanging enough that it needs a little support. We're going to do that, but don't pick it up too much. But like,
there's a very.
I was like, yeah, you know what? I'll just do this.
Yeah.
So great example.
There's
I
a
can
very
see that.
small handful of people that I've worked with that I have that kind of silent communication.
Simpatico.
Yeah, we're all this whatever the work is communicates to people like what needs to be done, right? And you have a very symbiotic relationship when that happens. It's always cool. Looking at a project that now we work well together. My buddy Bill used to help me out a bunch of stuff on house stuff. I'm like, we would just go, what's got to be done? This. Okay, cool. I don't think we would talk until it was done. It was just like, go grab this. You move behind someone seamlessly. You kind of see how they're moving. You can move.
Yeah, you set the other person up. Like one thing that Tyler and I do all the time is right. Like we just finished our personal task, so let's set them up to continue going flawlessly, and then jump on to the next task. So it's like. And if you're aware of those things and you're working with someone and you just do it without and you also have to have like no pride, right? Like doing the shitty version of the job isn't shitty if you guys are on a team. You know, it's like
Right.
the one thing like we do is if like, for example, I'm good at the router. I'm really good at the router. I do most of the routing, you know. Tyler's really good at welding. I don't even touch a welder, you know.
Yeah.
So we also do that. So it's like there's a lot of things that like just work really fluid. You know, like last week we were able to build 14 tables in a week, and we actually
I know, I saw those videos. That was awesome. Yeah.
we were able to get, I think it was like 6 of them finished by the 7th day, and then Tyrone's finishing the other ones. Like he wasn't on pressure to do this. We were just seeing like what our production time could be. You know, like we're in a zone of our business now. It's like we did a lot of growth and expansion, and now we're trying to like really like isolate like what makes us money and like stick to that. You know.
Yeah. Anthony, but we work really well together in the shop.
Yeah.
But in a business setting, I don't feel like we would be.
No, I don't think, respectfully, I don't think Luke and I could work at business together.
Why not?
Well, maybe
We can build projects together.
I don't know, I think we both kind of have, for me, maybe it might be a pride thing. I want to kind of do certain things maybe my way, and Luke wants to do things his way. And it's not like there's a ton of pride in it, but I think if it's like I'm at Luke's shop helping Luke, I'm just going to do what I know Luke needs to do. Yeah, if Luke is working in my shop, he's going to do what he knows I need him to do.
Yeah.
And like, it's like there's no pride in that. It's just like, yeah, I'm here to help this person.
Right.
And so maybe if we set the tone on it and had the right vision for something, I think we could do it.
Yeah.
But at least right now, I mean, I don't know, and I don't know that I could do personally. I don't know that I could do a business partnership. I think.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I'm riding solo for a reason.
Yeah, Luke. I think if someone stayed at Luke's shop for more than 2 hours, would be like, it's time for you.
Yeah.
You're saying the words. I'm just over here sweeping. Yeah, but it's just kind of messing up my cheek. Get out of here.
But like, why are you sweeping that direction?
Yeah.
Because I feel like you should be sweeping this direction.
Yeah, well, it's so funny too, because like I have he and I work well together, and you know that I don't know. I'm curious, you guys. I'll circle back to because I'm curious you guys' thoughts on like how two people can just do that seamless work, because it doesn't work with everybody. Even people who have experience in that kind of work, but just even working with an employee and learning how. I don't think my natural inclination is to micromanage, but I definitely catch myself doing it sometimes, and it drives me crazy when I realize I'm doing it because I hate being micromanaged.
I think a lot of that depends on your perspective of the other person's skill set. So if I'm in your shop,
Yeah.
and say, hey, okay, can you do this while I'm doing this? You're not even going to look at me.
Right.
You know, Mac, and I say this every time I say anything about Mac, this is not a dig on Mac.
Yeah.
He's just not experienced in, he's experienced, he's great at what he's experienced at.
Yeah.
But everything else, he's just not experienced at it. So you feel the need to micromanage.
Yeah,
Whereas if you
sometimes.
put me on, like I said, if you put me on something, you know that I know how to complete that task well. So you're not going to tend to micromanage.
Yeah, what I've found to kind of fix that for myself is to just say, this time you just have to let it happen however it's going to happen. And if it's right, great, you've learned that you don't have to worry about it anymore. And if it's wrong, great, you've learned what you need to make a judgment on. It's a win.
The big difference is with the two of y'all, it's like you're both on the same playing field, whereas you own the business
Right.
and operate the business. Mac is an employee.
Right.
It's not really the same plane as
I can actually tell you firsthand stuff because we actually just went through an interesting situation. So 4 months ago, we hired a new guy and his name was Taki, and this would be our
what
seventh.
is it with the T's?
Only T names in your shop.
That's it, brother.
Don't apply if your name doesn't start with a T.
Right.
This is Tuke, Tonson.
Yeah, Tyrone, Tony, Tyler, and then it was Taki. And he was a good worker. Like, so he actually knew how to work hard, but he was green on woodwork. So he didn't like have any skills, but he had a good work ethic, right? So now for an employee, for us, like it's a big deal. Like that's literally like he's making more than us a lot because like we're reinvesting or we're paying this off and whatnot.
Yeah.
So,
More than I do.
but I went through the thing like, okay, we're gonna train you. You know, like you have good potential. And so like I went through this whole time, and it was good timing because Tyler was focusing on these racks. All he was doing was metalwork, right? So I kind of wanted help, but he wasn't. An employee isn't.
Nothing wrong with a good rack.
Employees not help until they actually can like be producing profit, right? Like they're actually just a kind of like a drain, and that's part of it, right? While you're training them. So we trained Taki up, you know, to make a long story short, like a week ago, he's like finally on these tables that we produced in a week, Tyler and I, he's gonna start like showing some stuff, right? Well, it didn't work out, and Taki doesn't work with us anymore. So during that time that we were working, that I was training him, I was finally getting him to be able to actually like work with me, right? Like I didn't let him touch the table saw or the joiner for a long time until like I knew he actually did something. Well, I thought he was good, you know, like I was like, oh wow, because he was better than anyone who has ever came before, right?
Sure.
And you know, he's in a day he would sink 3 pieces of C channel and do some sanding, and then like in another day he would get all this mill work done. Well, it didn't work out, and like Tyler should have went back to the pipe clamp production because we have pre-orders we have to fulfill, but instead he helped me produce these tables, and holy cow, the difference in speed was incredible. You know, whereas Taki would sink 3 C channel in a day, so which is like you know, like 20 passes on a router, and like you got to drill them in. It's not that hard, right? Tyler and I sunk 6 times. We sunk 12 C channel and fully sanded the back and front of all these tables of 6 tables, right, in one day. And it's like just the level of like get her done is just so different between employees and if it's your business, right? Like it's never going to be the same.
Yeah.
Well,
Not as invested.
I think it's a lot of the I used to coach high school lacrosse. I played lacrosse growing up. I wasn't stellar at it, so those who can't teach. So I became a coach eventually, and I got to work with a bunch of high schoolers, which is its own wealth of experience. And actually, I pull a lot from that. Right, but yeah, stand by 1 second. I gotta plug in. While I'm doing that,
It should get like.
Real quick, while they're getting their act together, I want to say thank you guys for tuning in to who's on the YouTube live stream. I'm hoping.
I thought we weren't doing that.
Oh, we're doing the live stream, but I'm just gonna upload the recording you guys have, since it'll actually like see all of us instead of.
Oh, there are people watching and listening right now.
Yeah.
Hello, people.
Yeah.
Nice. Are we on video or just audio?
Just audio, because I don't know how to do that.
Put all this together.
But that's why I'm gonna upload your video in place of this live stream.
Hello, YouTube.
yeah. Hello, YouTube listeners, watchers. Yeah, that's cool. So no, I was saying, when I used to coach lacrosse, it was a thing where I would spend my time off the field trying to learn plays and watching old games and things like that. And I could tell the difference in the players who, between practices and games, were going out and running and going out, practicing hitting, we call it hitting the walls, wall ball with the cross ball and stuff, doing their own drills and stuff, versus the guys who only came and performed during practice, during the games. And I feel like it's the same with business. I really like about watching YouTube videos of other people working. And I'll take when I'm in the bathroom, I'm watching TikTok or Instagram of other people working. I'm constantly consuming woodworking content.
While I'm sure this is mostly true.
Yeah.
I can pull up my message thread on TikTok between Anthony and I.
There's not a lot of
There's not a lot of woodworking games in my way.
I don't set the woodworking stuff. I try to get my break in.
I mean, you
Yeah.
gotta assume that I'm seeing all those same videos.
Same videos. Yeah, I think Luke and I have about the same algorithm on TikTok. But it's the same thing of like, I'm not sure how much Mac goes home and is watching YouTube. Like, oh, I struggled on the joiner today. So let me go home and go watch 3 videos on how to better use a joiner. Or even coming to me and being like, hey, like I'm close, but I need a little bit more help on this. And how much, I don't want to micromanage, so I don't go there and like, do like the Patrick Swayze thing, stand behind him with my hands like his hands as he pushes the chair. Yeah, so it's this complex balance. They need training, want to do stuff. How can I trust them? But how do I invigorate them to become? I'm never going to manage my level of hacking because it's not their business. They're an employee and they're there to do a job. And there really should be the expectation that they're going to go home and watch 3 hours of YouTube to go get better at it. But I also know that it's like any job, like when I was an engineer, if I want to excel in my job, I had to do things in my off time. I had to go read stuff and go learn things and go train up my skills outside of just the workers to go get better at those things. And it's tough. So it's the old, I'm going to butcher the old quote, but you can order 1,000 men to build a ship and they'll build you a boat, or you can, convince 1,000 men, or you can persuade 1,000 men to yearn for the sea. They'll go build their own boat. Amazing job for at it. It's what they want to do.
Right.
So it's that trying to figure out, like, same thing with when I was coaching lacrosse. I'm like, I can sit here and yell at you guys about how to throw the ball better and, cajole you drop the ball or something. Or I can try to convince you guys that, like, this is a fun game. You guys are here for a reason. It's a whole lot more fun when we win on the weekends. That takes hard work. The more time and effort you put into this, the better results you get. And trying to figure out how to do that without coming off like a tyrant.
Dude, you want to know what we tried? We tried financial incentives, right?
Yeah.
So it was just like, hey, if you learn how to do this, I'll pay you this much more, right?
Yeah.
That didn't work. I tried being like, with this glue rack, when you were asking me if we would actually use this, we would actually use it. And this is when Taki was finally going to make money, I was going to say, hey, if you glue up 3 boards and sand them per week, right? 2 of those boards can be your take home money, extra per week. He didn't do that still. We only had one person, his name was Levi, and he would actually go home and research stuff, but he was just like, he was way too analytical about things.
Yeah, if his name was T-Vi, he'd say
yeah, right.
Yeah. No go on the L.
It is.
Yeah.
You called it. You did butcher it.
Yeah,
But it is. If you wish to build a ship, do not divide the men into teams and send them to the forest to cut wood. Instead, teach them to long for the vast and endless sea.
There we go. That's exactly what I said. That's
It's close enough.
That's the words I said. But no, it's tough. I mean, having Max worked with me for over a year, and there's days that I want to shake him, and there's days that I just bow, eat, and kiss the wall.
Are you making money like consistently, like his tasks? Like you're actually making a profit from his work?
I'm making a profit from our work, I'd say. There's not really stuff that he is 100% on his own at on many things at this point.
So it's like more like you need him to be able to facilitate whatever scale you're doing. So he's not like coming to the table and then increasing your income. It's like
yes, correct.
Yeah,
Like
that's what we've run into with all the employees. Like scaling custom anything is like you need, for now, you either need humans or then like robots, right? And like robots are $1 bajillion, right?
Well, that's the tricky part of how can I. The problem is that I force Mac to wear too many hats. What I really need to do for scale is, and I know what Mac is good at, and I know what Mac struggles at. And the problem is I run into things where I'm asking Mac to do stuff that I know he struggles at, as opposed to really shoehorning him into a task that I know he excels at.
Now, I know that Mac doesn't necessarily always just want to be shoehorned into what he's very, very good at. He's interested in these other things. And quite frankly, I need the help in those other things. What Mac allows me to do, or having an employee allows me to do, is to do two places at once sometimes, where it's like,
Yeah, for sure.
This thing sanded. I can do it or you can do it, but you can do this while I go sell more product. But sometimes it's like, hey, I need this sideboard built. I can't, right now, I don't think I can just drop that off with him. I think he'd probably do a pretty good job of it, as it would take him on his own 2 or 3 times longer to do it than I would. And then even at his pay rate, I'm just still losing money on that. So
yeah, that's what we found.
So eventually, I'm trying to find people who can kind of do the same thing, help me be in 2 places at once, but in the areas, fill in for my weak spots, for his weak spots, and then where it's more of a, hey, you're amazing at this, so you're gonna do, if you love that, great, you can do 100% that. If you are okay with it but want to do others, I'm gonna 80-20 you until you can show me that I need to pull you more over here. And I think that's the thing is, I'm a shop of 2. I have to wear all the hats. He has to wear just about all the hats. Sometimes there's stuff that I do that I'm honestly still learning how to be better at. It's not just stuff that he's doing that I haven't either given him enough training on, or he's just doesn't is interested in.
But here's another kicker though, is right? It's like Tyler and I have to learn stuff all the time. We're actually like really novice woodworkers. We know how to make a flat board, but like outside of that, so we're learning stuff, right? And with Mac, and maybe I don't know, but it's like if there's a project, like you may not know how to advance on, right? You're not going to be like, hey Mac, go solve this, because you don't even know, so you're not going to send him over to do that.
That doesn't happen too often now.
And so like the dynamic that we've found that worked is like, for example, like Tyrone, we brought him on and he gets just a complete third, right? He's not an employee. He's basically another owner of TNT.
Okay, cool.
So
have you thought about making it TNT?
well, it's okay. You can just, people can just think there's 3 T's, but it's just TNT. They can substitute whoever they want in there.
Yep.
But
Just the camera guy.
it's like the dynamic here is like any one of us can tell any other one of us, right? Like Tyler can tell Tyrone or me, and however you want to jumble that around, like, hey, this needs to get done because we're doing this, right? And
There's
it's not.
There's no power dynamic.
No, and there's not. And like all of us know like when to let go of something. And like Tyrone, for example, he's the one that's like really, really attention to detail oriented, right? So anything that needs to be like really precise, like we don't even bother with it. He's going to do a better job.
That's why he's the finish guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, right. That's exactly the truth though. It's like we did a 70-foot bar top in Pensacola, right? And it was all epoxy. It had to be like 30 gallons of epoxy poured at once, and like I'm thinking like it is a lot, and we nailed it. It was flawless, right?
Nice. That's awesome.
But I'm thinking like just in our brain thought, we're just like, okay, we'll go up there, we'll throw a D-hum. Hopefully it's not that dusty. We'll try to be like real still about it. Well, Tyrone tents up this whole place. He tents the ceiling. He tents walls spaced out 6 foot away. The whole 9 yards. He has 2 air filter
2
fans.
layers.
A D-hum.
There was a roof leak, and he had already like known that there was a roof leak there, so he'd already like prepared for it.
Yeah, and like the water was.
He just retired.
Well, he just excels in like the detail part where like Tyler and I should, right? But we just like you always should do the right thing, right? Always.
Well,
but
it's also important to figure out what you're, for whatever reason, not going to emphasize, and find somebody who will.
And Tyrone's that person. Like Tyler and I can build stuff fast. We can build it well, like really good. And now when it came to the finish work, both him and I are like rats, like we just.
Yeah.
So, and Tyrone likes to do finish work, and he's really good at finish work. So, like over at his place, we invested, like we had these 16-foot long, 36-inch wide, 3-inch thick rainbow poplar slabs, 3 of them, right? beautiful slabs, kiln dried, flat already. We turned those into 8x8s for the framing of this finish room, that epoxy room in his shop. And then like we had these book match walnut butcher block boards that we were gonna cut into our moon dust boards that we're still doing. And but instead we cut those up and he made those into 4 doors that are gonna have glass in them on this. And then we put 2 5-foot by 5-foot windows on one wall. So it's like real fucking awesome and state of the art. And we did that so we could have an epoxy dust-free environment and still be able to sand right over here. And we don't have we do need to get him that Festool extractor though, because the dust thing is serious.
He's gonna kiss you right on the lips when he gets it.
Well, we're actually investing a pretty decent amount, right? Like, another reason we built this room.
It sounds like it if you're, because like in my shop, I'm like, all right, well, I need a wall. It's gonna be OSB.
Yeah.
I need doors. I'd like to have some glass in them, so let's find the cheapest doors that Home Depot offers that has glass in it. I'm not making walnut doors to put glass in.
Oh yeah, we're
His
gonna get
trim's gonna be Purple Heart.
Yeah, his trim is gonna be all Purple Heart. But we're doing videos and like we hope
someone loved me as much as you guys love Tyrone. You guys take care of this guy.
Oh, dude, but we bought lights for it. Another reason we built this is there's this new finish we're gonna start implementing in our products called Clean Armor, and it's another UV polymerizing finish like the vestings, and so to cure that though, you need to have an array of UV lights, and so we just want to be able to switch them on with a switch in that room. But that finish in particular, if you want to get a gloss coat, you need like super dust free, and it's insane how dust free. So it's not practical for a lot of people, but for us, we wanted to be able to do it.
With that setup, would you be able to cure the other stuff too?
No,
Or do
unfortunately.
You still have to use a little hand deal?
That little hand deal, we're actually going to be making a really cool array that we can do a whole table at once, because that little hand deal is a pain in the dick. Here's the bad part about vestings, that the stuff you see us hit with that little light, is that little light is $1,000, you know, and like that's just like really expensive, especially like for like we're affiliated with them, right? So we try to help promote their stuff, but like I'm telling them, I'm like, dude, most woodworkers are gonna be like $1,000 for the thing that cures it, and then on top of that, your finish is like $100 to $150. Like, dang, you know.
Yeah, I can just rub some.
And they're gonna be like, yeah, I'll get Rubio, and then just let it sit.
Yeah, well, the thing is though, is like if you do make the jump into like any UV polymerizing finish is gonna kick Rubio's ass. You know, it's just like way more durable. It's meant for like commercial floors, so it's like, and I know Rubio is supposed to be a flooring thing, but it is.
That hardener that oh sorry, go ahead.
We did a test like comparing Rubio with the hardener to like vestings, and like vestings just completely destroyed it. And it was like, it's not a regular test. You know, most people that put a table in their house, they're not going to be testing it the way we did. But when it comes to the extremes, like these finishes like hold up.
But yeah, I mean that's how you separate the boys from the men, right? With the extremes.
Right.
If you're just talking about a living room, dining room scenario, yeah, they're probably all okay, but you're not going to get a good comparison to what they're.
Yeah, I know, like where we're coming from is like a lot of our products are restaurant tables or countertops. So we genuinely want something that like people don't have to think about, you know, and like a
Heavy use,
and they just don't have to worry about it forever. Because we were providing an oil finish for a while, but like people have to maintenance it, and it's not really that much protection. Like it's not protecting from any scratches compared to like a coating. But
Well, I think it's awesome that the working dynamic the three of you have. I mean, I think the only way Luke and I can combine Gwynplaine and Johnson Company Woodworking is if February was Gwynplaine month, and February was Johnson Company Woodworking month. We just partnered each of our pet projects for a month.
Yeah, our visions are totally different.
Yeah, and that's
you want to be in a totally different place than I'm.
Yeah.
And that's not that either one of us are more right. It's just that we're in.
You want to know the fundamental? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was saying that just just for anybody who doesn't know, Anthony kind of wants to get to the point where he's got a woodworking overarching business. And then it might have a furniture sector, it might have a cabinet sector, it might have a historic restoration sector, but he wants to basically get it to the point where he's running just this whole business, but there's not a lot of, like, ideally you're running the business, you're not actually building the stuff.
I mean, I would like it, for me, ultimately, I want to create like a business playground where I can either be like just running a business, or I can be just in the furniture shop, or I could be doing the sales or whatever it is. I personally, what happens for me is I get really into something, and then like a year or two later, I'm completely over it, and then I want to go do something else. And my biggest fear is that 2 years into what I'm playing, I'm going to go, well, that was fun for something different, and I've got $100,000 invested in all this stuff, and I'm like I'm going to go get into Warhammer tabletop games now, and just go paint all these little figurines, and monetize that for a bit, and I'll be monetizing something every 2 years. So I create this environment that I can move around inside of. Yeah, it's kind of just a sandbox where it's like, what sucks is running a business. I'm going to let someone else do that for a bit, and I'm just going to go work with the furniture guys and go build beautiful furniture for a bit. Or I'm going to go do sales, or I'm going to go spend 3 months in Europe looking at old antique furniture and sketching it out and try to bring some of that stuff back or whatever it is.
And I just want to build furniture.
And Lucas wants to build furniture. Now, that being said, I don't know if Luke's had this thought. I have thought several times. If Luke and I combined forces, though, I think we would actually, after we got out of the, after we figured out that working relationship beyond just like a, hey, come help me out for a day kind of thing, I think Luke and I could turn out some pretty interesting stuff.
I think about this often.
Yeah, I mean, I think he and I have similar tastes to some degrees, very different tastes in other things. And I think that, so that's some things. But once we kind of figure that out, I think he and I can make some pretty cool stuff, because we do work well together, and we kind of know the medium well enough at this point to kind of be able to figure it out.
I mean,
it's also though, like, I don't know if, in 10 years, I don't know if I'm still going to like you. So yeah, I don't know if I want to commit myself in like an LLC.
That's fair. I am really likable for about 9 years, so that makes sense.
And I feel like my likability lifespan is probably a little bit shorter.
It's 6 years.
Yeah.
6 years.
So maybe we go into a venture that terminates in 5 years.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, right?
That.
Like, you guys both have a skill set where the magic would happen is you guys coming together, and instead of like Mac costing you money to produce more, right? You guys would be upping your efficiency, right? It wouldn't be like you guys could still be doing the same projects separately, right? But working together to complete them together, you're going to complete them, at least in our experience, at least 3 times faster than one of you by yourself, right?
I've had that thought too, where we have one roof and it's wooden plank on one side and John Company woodworking on the other, but all of them.
You kind of have to have what fundamental thing keeps Tyler and I like without words on the same path in the same direction is that like we both came from below zero, right? And we really just want to have a life where we make a good living and we have a lot of time with our kids and our family. That's all we want to do. And we kind of want to enjoy what we do too. And it's not really about whether it's woodworking or metalwork or farming or home renovation or whatever. It's actually found that we've actually found that like working together has actually been like the fun part, like going through all these adventures and like even getting kicked in the nuts over and over again, like in farming, especially, holy cow, just getting brought down. It didn't really matter, right? Because like we just kept moving forward. We knew what we wanted. We were already at zero. It's fine. We can survive off of $5 Mickey D's daily. No big deal, But
you're in it together, but you're also you've got the same motivation.
Right,
Like
right.
I said,
We
like,
live and
you-
own
you-
on
you
the same
wanna-
property.
You want to have enough. You want to have enough to support yourself, right? But
And more. We want to buy a 4-wheeler for the kids. Each kid has a 4-wheeler set up, like lined up, like,
I like.
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Want to make a track. We want to have some toys, but we kind of want to have more time than we want to have like a big, like one of the discussions we had about this glue clamp rack, right? We spent this last however many years building up this wood shop. We can produce now. We're making money. We know what we're doing. Do we want to go through this again for another 3 to 5 years up doing this infrastructure, not having any money because like we're funding everything out of pocket, right? We were like, nah, we don't really want to do it that big. So like the glue clamps could only get so big unless we work with like JLT or someone, you know? And like, like if your guys' end goal, like if you guys wanted to work together and you just put it like at like 5 years, right? Like we just want to produce what we're producing, but just ramp it up, you know? That could be your unified goal, and it doesn't have to be forever. An LLC can stay open and you can have that credit open forever. Doesn't mean you have to work together forever, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think for me, a lot of my goals I think align with yours. For me, I've always been enticed by business ownership, and I don't know, I think it comes from, maybe it's genetic. I've got that on my mom's side of the family and my dad's side of the family. From my mom's side is big business ownership. My dad's side is small business, little jewelry shop ownership. Just that kind of fending for yourself thing. And I kind of got into it a little bit later in life than I think I would like to have. But right now I'm kind of like, I want to set it up enough for myself where it turns out maybe woodworking is a thing that enables me to set myself up where I can be comfortable enough, you know, eventually when I have kids, get up a 4-wheeler.
Oh yeah.
Go on a couple of nice trips a year.
Like a boat.
Maybe get a boat, you know, and I've had these things with, I'm trying to be rich. Yeah, that's my thing. I'm trying to have enough wealth that I'm not really worried about money. I'm able to provide enough good things for me and my family. And then have enough time, and really it's the time thing. I want to be able to really choose how I spend my time, where I can get where I'm, instead of feeling like I have to work 50 plus hours a week, I can work 20, 30 hours a week.
Yeah.
And that's one of I did my like little 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10-year goal things. And I think my 10-year goal was like, I work because I want to, not because I have to. And that's kind of what I'm trying to set myself up eventually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my now is being developed, you know, of a passive income that by the time I'm 40, I'm 30 now. So by the time I'm 40, I want to be drawing enough passive income that I don't have to work. And that's, you know, I mentioned the real estate stuff. So that is the plan with that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my partner and I are pushing for that. We want to be drawing 6 figures of cash flow each by the time we're 40 out of the real estate stuff.
Yeah.
The furniture now is like my job, right? It's my pay the bills. You know, right now I'm paying, full disclosure, paying myself about 80 grand a year. And that is a fine salary. Like that's going to.
Fuck yeah, that's fine. It's a great salary.
Yeah,
that's good.
Exactly. So it's going to pay my bills, but that's not a salary that you're going to be like buying a ski boat on, right? It's not a salary that you're going to be, it's not a luxurious salary. So my plan is for this to be a good, sustainable salary till the roots that don't have to work. Now, $100,000 a year is not going to provide a luxurious jet-setting lifestyle or anything like that. But at 40 years old, if I can afford to just be like, I don't want to work for the next 3 months, I want to go do this, I can do that. That's the plan with that. So we're being very aggressive up front with our real estate stuff. We're not making any money. I mean, we've made a little bit since we've started. We've brought home a little bit of money, but that was just by choice. Everything else is just largely being reinvested into it. So that in come 10 years, we'll have a good portfolio that's largely paid off, that's just cash flowing at that point.
Yeah.
So
And another way to that 100 grand can actually be a luxurious life depending on what your cost of living is, right? Like one of the ways that like we've kind of like set it up is like we own this land, we built this shop, like we don't have a huge monthly expense, so it's like for example, if you use a teacher's salary and then like what usually cost of living around here is, right, like they would usually be paying a little over half of what they make per month, right, just to be able to like rent a place or mortgage a place, right?
Yeah.
And if you take that out of it, all of a sudden they got a lot more money per month, comparatively, so that's kind of like the same book.
That's what's eating me alive right now. My cost of living is insane.
We have 37 mortgages.
I have 37 mortgages. Not a landlord. What I am is a house hunter right now.
Yeah.
And it's not fun.
So y'all are paying 3 mortgages and living in one house, and the 2 other mortgages are not cash flow.
Bingo, correct. So, which is super exciting. And that has been my nightmare for the past 6 months, which is eaten. I'm at the point right now where basically I don't really know how much I'm getting paid. I know that I am skirting by.
Hey, you got in on those low interest rates though.
I did.
Yeah.
I got very lucky on that. And I am accruing debt at a rate that makes me uncomfortable. But I know that the business that I've set out to do is a good one, because I can look at my numbers and go, wow, you sure have sold a lot. Now I look at those numbers and go, where did all that money go?
Yeah, we feel the same way.
And that's something that I need to figure out, because the money game is the business game. And so while my product is good and my customer relations are good and all that stuff is good, my financial management is not. And that's something I'm trying to get better at.
Keep this in mind though, right?
Yeah.
So let's just say, I don't know what your mortgages are at, but let's just say they're at like 3 or 5% or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Right now, you're making money by having that debt because inflation is higher than your interest rate, right?
Oh, no, correct.
So Apple historically has had huge amounts of cash, right? Well, over the last year or 2 years, they've transferred all of like 200 billion in cash into 200 billion in debt because they're
Yeah, and that's something I kind of keep telling myself is like, the kind of debt that I'm accruing is going to pay dividends down the road. Which
you just have to make it through without collapsing. That's really it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of where I'm at right now. Is I've compared this business endeavor to like running a marathon, and it's like I've only ever run a 5 or a 10K before, and then all of a sudden I just signed up for a marathon. Like, it's going to be hard because it's a freaking marathon. I'm over here in mile 22 going, this sure was a crazy idea. But I've come too far now. I can't stop the race. If I pause too long, I'm just going to pass out. I just need to keep putting one foot in front of the other. I can see the finish line. It's pretty close. I just get there. Meanwhile, everything's costing. Like this one house that it took me 5 years to renovate because I did it all by myself, which felt great, but I should have just get done. For that house, I cashed in $100,000 of equity on it to pay for the remodel of the house and shop that I'm in now, but I still have probably another $100,000 equity on that one. Some people are like, why don't you want to sell it? I'm like, because I have all this equity parked in it. It's going to earn me just in equity probably more than 5% a year with the area we're in. And once I get the rent to cash flow, even rate, still earning more.
Yeah, real estate's always a great investment. Like.
Yeah, so I'm doing everything I can to basically hold on to certain chips of mine without cashing them all in. But all the cash that I'm actually getting is just staying on the table and getting pushed back into the pot. And I'm like, it's gonna pay off. You just gotta
It's a weird transition in mindset. So I was raised. We were well off, but nobody acted like it. So it was, you don't take a car payment. You buy the car you can afford. If you want a boat and you can't afford a boat, you don't get a boat.
Right.
Like, you don't borrow money to get a boat. If you want a side-by-side or you want to go riding in the mountains, you ride in your buddies until you can afford to buy one. You don't go take out a loan on something stupid like that. The only thing you should take out a loan on is a house. Like, that's the way I was raised.
Mm-hmm.
And now,
getting into real estate investment, it's a whole different game. You've got to understand that you can make money from debt.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes debt is the smarter option. Where, like when I first graduated school and got into engineering, I was like, all right, well, my wife and I bought a house. I had a plan. I was like, I'm gonna get this house paid off in 5 years. I'm gonna pay aggressively. I'm gonna live off beanie weenies and do what I can to get this house paid off, because that's what you're supposed to do. Whereas now that I'm in real estate investing, you've got to do like a total 180 shift on your mindset.
Yeah.
We're probably close to $500,000 in debt with the real estate company.
Yeah.
And we just went to the bank and essentially like 2 weeks ago asked to double that debt for the next project. We're gonna build some duplexes. And it's totally opposite of what I grew up knowing. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Because we're going in, we're trying to put down as little as possible and borrow as much as possible. Because if we've got tenants and you're paying that mortgage, never mind if you're cash flowing $10 every month, you're still making money.
Yeah, right. Plus,
you're not doing anything at that point, and then your equity over time, just from your principal payments, but also your equity over time from just the market shifting. Because if you're looking at it from a long-term situation, well, real estate is always positive in the long term.
right.
It goes up and down. We have recessions and shit. But in the long term, in pretty much any given 10-year window, you're better off at year 10 than year 1.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I mean, that's almost true of almost all investments now. It's like, who would have known Pokemon cards, like a Charizard, would have been a good investment? Who would have known freaking Crocs? Like Crocs, dude, are selling for hundreds of dollars because
Limited run Yeti mugs, Yeti tumblers.
dude,
Yeah, I found that out the other day.
all different types of stuff. Tyler's made a squeeze on paintball guns, like
Yeah, old ones, 20-year-old ones.
Nice.
yeah, he spent like $600, made like $3,000 from just buying and reselling them.
Yeah.
I got big into reselling for a bit. There was one year where I just jumped all in. I was going to every yard sale, every thrift
You gotta go to
store.
the little boys room.
I think I made it was like 17 grand one year on eBay.
Nice.
It's not small, but which is good. It's
Hell yeah,
some
dude.
of these guys out there are doing like crazy numbers. I feel really good about that, but it's fun to I love reselling. I could go on and on about reselling. It's so much fun to do. I see value in this thing. I have a way to get it to somebody else. I'm gonna make a few bucks on this. But yeah, it's crazy what's out there. I would say for me personally, my long term is actually my Lego collection. I have so many Lego sets. It's disgusting. I didn't realize how many I had until I moved them to the new house recently, and it took me 4 truckloads to bring them all over. They were all
Damn.
I have like
Dang.
Ultimate Collector's Series Star Wars Lego sets. They were on display, so that was a big thing to move. But then I had this closet at the house. It was like 3 foot by 3 foot by 8 foot. And when I say it was like full, I mean like it was literally like Tetris full.
Yeah, right, all the way to the top.
Yeah, and I moved them all. I was like, you have a lot of these, but I just tell my girlfriend like this is gonna pay for like one of the kids' future college in its entirety. It appreciates better than gold. So
somehow it's true though. Somehow it's freaking true.
Well, they're all limited runs. Lego sets run for about 2 years, and someone else sees this cool Lego set. There's just no way to buy it except on the secondary market, and there's a lot of very good secondary markets for Legos, and people will go buy them. And if you don't buy it when it's out, you know that if you want it later, you're going to have to pay double for it.
Right.
So people go buy them now. That's how I ended up with so many. So I like to say that I'm planning on either future children's future tuition, or any project I collect right now that I know I'm not going to work on for 20 years. I'm just like, that's just a retirement plan. Like I have these 2 old motorcycles that are in a shed that I haven't touched. She's like, what are you doing with these things? I'm like, if I wanted to buy these when I'm 60, I would have had to pay $8,000 for them, and I got them for $600 a piece. They can sit there for another 30 years, and then it's
rot.
And it's just metal. You just at that point you'll be able to use some digital weird
matrix thing to clean the metal.
I'm putting it into the ether.
Yeah.
That never happens with those two motorcycles.
Yeah, I did think about selling them recently, but
I'd put some money on that.
I have a 1974 Honda CB 550 and I have a 1965 Honda CB 77 305 Super Hawk. And they are cool bikes.
You say that like anybody knows what you're talking about.
Someone listening knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I actually know what you're talking about.
I agree. Those are great bikes. I think you're a very smart person.
Joe from Pasadena.
Yeah, Joe from Pasadena. If you're out there still listening,
We haven't talked in a while.
Joe from Pasadena was our first listener. We can't confirm or deny his existence.
No, it's made up for sure.
Yeah, I like to believe he's still out there. Well, guys,
Yeah.
hey, I think we're kind of at about our time, but I really appreciate you guys coming back to do another recording with us. It's been fun both times, and I'm super excited every time I see one of your videos. But I think there's a TNT video on my TikTok probably about 30% of the time when I open it.
When they do the slinging videos.
Yeah,
I've loved seeing you guys, what you guys are doing.
Yeah, we go through little bursts. Like if we're working a lot, we don't produce a lot of videos, but like when I have the time, like I'll just pop them out. But I really appreciate you guys having us on again. We love doing this podcast. It's actually pretty fun. So, you know,
Yeah, it's just that's why we're in it. Is we have no real goals with the podcast. We're not trying to monetize this thing or anything like that. We just enjoy the shit out of it because we get to, if it's just Anthony and I, we sit and we talk shop.
Yeah.
And when we have other people on who are like-minded, who are making shit and selling shit and just trying to kind of do your own thing, you can just get together and you're talking shop and we're drinking beers and we're hanging out, and that's what it is. So nice. It really is just a good time, and it's kind of nice to have something that we're dedicating time to. You know, we've put out an episode every week for the whole time. Yeah, and
you actually learn a lot from it too.
Yeah, I think it's turned into a really good thing, and we've got a ton of amazing feedback. I mean, we've had people reach out and be like, "Hey, I just quit my job, and
it's your fault."
Oh, geez.
and it's like I just quit my job, do whatever it is, from listening to y'all's journeys.
Oh, geez.
You know, I'll inspire me enough to finally just kick it into gear and get that going. That stuff is very cool. It's super rewarding, and that's all we can really have.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. You actually are just cutting out right now, so I can't hear what you're saying. but you can hear us. But I appreciate you guys having us on. Yeah.
Recording stopped.
Oh.
Yep. That's it. Yeah, we can't hear anything.
We can't hear anything.
Said recording stop. We're done.
That was a good way to end it, boys. So thank you for tuning in to the live stream, guys. I think this concludes the podcast. Oh, wait, we're getting the finger. Oh, grab the phone, he says.
We got it.
Stand by.
Stand by.
New invite coming. It's good timing because.
Be right back.
Oh, so it wasn't even our fault. Nice.
Is that right? That's why they couldn't hear you, because we were coming in through my audio.
Can you hear me through?
I can hear you guys.
audio?
I can hear you guys now.
I can see you saying that you can hear me, but I can't hear you say that.
Oh, probably. Oh, because hold on. Turn your speaker to your computer. Go to your sound thing on the window.
All right, now talk to me.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yay! All right. Guys, I have no idea what happened.
Where are you?
I'm trying to get, my Zoom just literally crapped out on me. So, okay, I have to end this. Can you guys invite me back into the meeting?
I can't tell. You're the host.
Weird. Is there a meeting ID?
Oh, I can invite you. What's your
Do you have a meeting ID number on there just from the email I sent?
I have a meeting passcode.
Wait, hold on. Let me try this one. See if this works. Come on, connect, you bitch.
Oh, God.
I have a meeting ID if you need it.
Yeah, what is it?
874-3902.
Yep.
4185.
Okay.
That's good.
Don't need it. It should be. I have no idea.
Fucking chilly, dude.
Yeah, it got chilly.
Willy, dude.
Yeah, it went from like 80 degrees today, and it's dropping to 40 degrees right now.
Yeah, it's supposed to. I was listening to the radio on the way home, and like the next 4 nights are in like the 20s and the lows here.
Yeah.
Woo!
All right. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna end this meeting, and then I'm gonna re-invite you guys. Okay?
All right.
Sounds good.
Is that cool?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Stand by.
We still got people live on YouTube, so they're waiting for it. What's going on, guys?
I don't know if I'm talking. I don't know if I'm talking through this mic or through my computer mic. Well, my computer mic is muted. No, it's not muted. So I think I'm just solely going through my computer.
Yeah, your audio quality definitely took a drop. I'm glad last time I listened back to the podcast we did last time, and I was so bummed because the audio quality on our end was terrible. But
Yeah.
this time we figured out the mics in time.
So the mic's not really good.
Yeah, most of the ones we do on Zoom, one side of it is just a computer mic. But I think just from listening to podcasts on my end, if at least one side is good quality, it's bearable.
Right.
But if the whole thing is not, it's kind of tough for me to listen to.
Do we sound pretty
so we
good
try to-
with these mics?
Yeah, it sounds good. And generally, the Zoom doesn't sound too bad on the recordings. It's. I mean, obviously, we're not all in the same room on good microphones, but y'all have those mics. Definitely makes a difference.
All right. I'm gonna end this meeting and start another one. Stand by.
Ended it.
Beautiful.
So what do you guys think so far about this podcast? I'm talking to the YouTube people now. There's 4 of you tuned in. I'm thinking 2 of you might be actively listening while we wait for the new Zoom invite.
For the other 2, yeah.
I think it could be our wives. You never know.
Put that junk on the side.
We're about dead, so they better fucking.
Dude, 9:40. Whew.
Wow. Look, we got another tuner in just as the podcast went down.
Oh, man.
Stay tuned. It's about to be up. Oh, and they said, now I'm out of here.
Outta here, dude. It's all right.
Cola 20. I'm glad it sounds good. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Hell yeah, brother or sister. Oh, there's the invite.
It's koala. Like the koala.
Koala. And there we go. should be joining in 3, 2, 1.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah. Fantastic. All right, Luke's gonna mute everything. Oh, God. God damn it, Jeff Bezos.
It wasn't our fault this time.
Yes.
No, I'm convinced it. No, I'm convinced it was also not mine. I don't know whose fault it was.
Who's
I'll take responsibility,
Well-
but I will. But it's not my fault. All right, I'm gonna record. All right.
Recording in progress.
And we're back after some technical difficulties that happened in the middle of Luke saying some nice things about the podcast.
Yeah, I don't know where we got it from.
I'm not sure either, but the
Well,
It's good.
I will say though,
it's nice.
I will say is like I listened back to the podcast with like Calavera and like Lizzie the Scroll Saw artist and like a handful of other ones, and getting their perspective on how they do their business, and it's through like the little conversations, right?
Yeah.
You can actually learn a lot, and like people can choose to implement those same things that other regular people are doing, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of cool being on this end of it because I listen to podcasts all the time, and it might be a 2-hour long podcast, and there might be 5 minutes of it that I go, man, that really hit home. I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna act on it. And do it and actually get some positive change out of it. So it's cool to be on the giving end of that. To, whether it's something I said or a guest we had on said, if somebody's listening and goes, you know what, I need to give that a try. Maybe I should buy that festival extractor or whatever it is. And then go, you know what, I'm really glad I did that. And so facto, I'm really glad that you told me to do that, or that somebody said that they were doing it and then it was a good idea.
Yeah.
So that's the point I was making. I don't know where I got cut off, but that with this podcast, it's not super altruistic because it is kind of selfish on our part because we get so much out of it and we get to have guests on and pick their brains. But it is, I think a really good shtick that we have is, hey, anybody who wants to listen can kind of listen to our journey because we're not, 10 years into the business. We're all fairly fresh into the
Right.
business.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you how to run a business because this is how I run a business and my business works, because it doesn't always work. This is a very much, I'm learning, Anthony's learning.
Yeah.
We're going to learn together and we're going to broadcast what we are learning and our trials and tribulations, our ups and downs, so that maybe you can avoid the mistakes that we made, or maybe you can look at it and go, well, I mean, they did it. It doesn't sound super complex. Why don't I give it a shot?
Yeah.
Dude, that's exactly how we think about things. Like we actually showcase some things that like you're not supposed to showcase. Like one of the videos we did is where like in our rainbow butcher block, like there's huge gaps in between the little pieces, right? And then we showed how like we would just cut wedges and put them in there,
Yeah.
And like people were hating on us for that, but we want to show people like actual practical, useful, like real stuff. Like not every project, like every step of the way is perfect and everything clicks. It's like that's not the reality of it.
And like business,
at least for us,
and business isn't always good.
No.
There's not always, we don't always have people beating down the doors to get orders in with us. Well, sometimes it's like, if I don't get another couple orders in, I don't know how I'm gonna look in 9 to 12 weeks.
Or
Right.
just those days that you have where you're like, why am I doing this? It's so hard. Why did I do this? Like I could go, or just knowing like, for me, I could just go back to engineering. That was pretty comfortable. I didn't have to like look at
Yeah.
and like,
when I was working engineering, I was making more money than I'm making now, and
phoning it in.
And when I left the office for the day, I didn't think about my job until I went in the next morning.
Right.
And then there's something, you do kind of miss that because you never get to not think about your job in this setting.
Right.
You just kind of always are, whether you're on vacation, whether you're laying in bed, whether you're driving home from the shop. It's always in your mind about the state of the union, the state of your affairs. But you've got to understand, and I do this a lot. Like I'll have a bad day, or I'll just be. We all have those days in the shop where everything you touch, you just fuck up.
Yeah.
And I'll get
Yeah.
super pissed off. I'll be in a bad mood, and then I have to check myself, and I'll go, you're exactly where you wanted to be. Like you purposefully put yourself in this position, and then you're gonna complain because like you messed up a couple of pieces, like you couldn't get something right the first try. So you're gonna throw a fit about it. No, this is the life that you want to live.
Right.
So shut up and get over it. It's like it's kind of played out, but a bad day fishing is better than a good day at work. Like a bad day doing what you want to do for a living beats the hell out of the best day working for the man.
Amen.
Yep.
Amen.
Yeah.
And it's just like
I do that.
I've got to check. I check myself off. And, and I'll say out loud to myself, like, "What the fuck are you doing? This is exactly where you wanted to be, and you're sitting here trying to complain.
These are the problems you wanted.
Yeah. And
Yeah, right.
Anthony and I will call each other, and
On the extra bad days, I'll
yeah.
call Luke and go, Luke, remind me why I'm doing this because you wanted to. I'm like, fair enough.
Yeah, that's your idea.
Yeah, you're doing exactly what you want to be doing. This is what kind of goes with all that.
Yeah.
Well, and to that point, like it always drove. I think when Luke and I was starting this, it always drove at least me nuts. Like you're on the social media, and everyone, all these business gurus are just showing off their highlight reel, and like you just gotta hashtag grind set mindset.
Yeah.
You're all this and that. And meanwhile, like I'm trying to juggle going into an entrepreneurial endeavor at mid-30s after a somewhat successful career in engineering and just completely shifting gears, trying to maintain a relationship with someone I'm not married to through all of that, and trying to just juggle all these things. And like there was no one out there saying like, hey, like everyone's telling you it's gonna be hard, you really have to give it your all, but like also here's specifically what that looks like.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Here's some of the choices you have to make. You know how that person you love and care about who loves you, you're going to tell them no a whole lot more than they're going to want to hear it. And it's, it's going to cause a lot of problems for you. There's complexities. All the things you can control, go gung-ho. Have fun with that. That's easy. It's all the stuff you can't.
It's also all your fault. Good or bad.
Yeah, right.
It is all your fault. You can't go, Stacy, that bitch at work.
Yeah.
Like we can't get this done.
I'm Stacy now.
We can't get this done because Stacy won't do a fucking job, and we're waiting on Stacy. There's none of that.
Yeah.
We're waiting on Luke.
Yeah. You come over and you look in the mirror and you're like, you were a terrible employee to yourself. Like, God, you suck. If I could fire you today, I would. I've had enough with me today. Yeah, I wish there was more of that. So we just try to like have a pretty honest go around of like, just of all that, and just like hopefully whoever hears it hears the things that like we wanted to hear earlier on, or like can.
Dude, we're all about that.
Stuff.
We're all about that. It's like I wish I would have known, like between the ages of 15 and 17 until I moved out, that I could have been a woodworker. That I didn't have to like go to medical school or do this thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
if I would have known that, I'd have done this right away. And so, like,
Wouldn't have gone to medical school.
like I personally have kind of like an altruistic mindset to a lot of our content, because like I would really love to inspire the younger version of me to just start doing this out of the get-go. You know,
That's where we're coming from. Yeah.
and we've gotten feedback like that. Like we've gotten one side of it where it's like an older person in their like 50s or 60s be like, I wish this is what I wanted to do when I grow up. You know, it's like, why didn't you do it? And then the other side of it is like, we've had a couple of young guys now. They're like, we love your videos. This is so awesome. And they started making their own knives. Like, doesn't even have to be woodwork.
Yeah.
But like doing your own thing, doing something you love, like that is like an easy way to live a fulfilling life rather than working for the man.
Yeah, and that's the big message, and I certainly never received it growing up, and I think it's more prominent now than it was like when we were in that 15 to 17,
Right.
high school
It's a lot more
age
accessible.
frame.
Yeah.
It's more accessible, but that's what, when I was getting close to graduating high school, it was like, okay, well, what do you want to do? Well, I know it has to include college.
Right.
It has to be a college degree, right? Which is what I was taught.
I don't want to live under a bridge.
Right. And I'm very happy with the way my path took me. I really enjoyed engineering. I made enough good money quick enough to really kickstart this thing that I'm doing now. You know, I wouldn't be in the position that I am now if not for that engineering career. But that said, if when I was 15, 16 years old, I really understood that there was a viable path that didn't mean me going to college and didn't mean me depending on the system, you can kind of buck the system a little bit and blaze your own trail. You know, who knows?
I mean,
Who knows where we
if you would have started this before engineering, right? You invested the same amount of money
Right.
you invested in your college degree and the same amount of time into this. Like,
Yeah.
you would have already been years ahead, you know, like, especially starting young
Yeah.
when you have all those, like, placid neutrons.
There's no scholarships for this stuff.
No, there's no scholarships, but it's totally doable. Like, our first splitter block was
for sure.
made with a table saw and just a DeWalt sander, right? So like the sanding on it was nuts, right? But you can totally, like, it's a really easy path. Like, you have to make more money than you spend, right? And then you want to upgrade your tooling so you can make more money faster, you know, than what you spend. So
and when you're 18 years old with no real commitments, like, you can live off of $10.
right, yeah, exactly.
You can do that.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. I mean, like, at this point, I'm like, you know, with a relationship I care about, I'll try to do all these other grown-up things, where it's just like,
Yeah, I want to go to Mexico, and I want to.
Well, it's
do
not
the
too.
things.
I
I want to buy my wife jewelry and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But when you really boil it down, it's like I could live in the shop.
Well, no, that Luke and I have talked about this, where it's like, if it was up to me, like, I would eat ramen and hard-boiled eggs 3 meals a day and live in the shop just to make this work. Like, that's how much it matters to me. My girlfriend would not support that lifestyle
No.
at all.
Yeah.
And she'd also be like, hey, I'd like this, you know, even just stuff like, hey, like, I'd like to see you and hang out with you at least once a week. Like, we're together, so we should, you know, do stuff
And
together.
you're like, yeah, give me 10 years, and then we got all the time you want.
Babe, I'm building an empire. You know, I'm working my ass off over here.
It's
Why don't you
fun.
understand?
It's funny how often we have these conversations, but like, to our wife's credit, like, they have come from zero with us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They, you know, and like, coming from
Reset. Start over.
coming from zero is like, it's easy in one sense, because when you're at zero, anything positive is more, right?
Yeah.
But on the other sense, like, once you realize that like $1,000 doesn't really move the needle forward, or like
Right.
5,000, but you're trying to live off of $5 a day, like,
Yeah.
it is such a struggle. And then you have, like, we have wife and kids, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, they've really endured a lot, lot on the sides. Like, my wife, when I moved to this property, I first lived in a tent with a portable toilet in it, right? Not even kidding.
Hell yeah.
I built a quote unquote tiny home, not because of the trend, but because that's what I could afford, and we had some materials laying around.
Most of the material.
Most of the materials laying around, right? So reuse materials. No, it had a roof. I wasn't gonna have drywall or insulation, but my wife's grandfather bought us that, so we had drywall and insulation. It was only gonna be wood. But here's the kicker: we didn't have a toilet for 2 years, right?
Wow.
And my wife dealt with that. So it's like
That's
they.
big.
Gosh, that's
Yeah, that's a keeper.
You got a good one. Yeah.
Took her down all the pegs.
So it was just, you know, like, choosing this lifestyle, regardless of where you start, whether you have like money or not, it definitely was worth it, but it doesn't come without like struggles, you know, like, you got to make choices,
Real struggle.
you know, everything
And
good
it-
comes at a cost. Like, there's nothing good that comes without cost.
Yeah, and it depends on your priorities, and that a lot of times you got to sit down and figure out what those are. You know, to a lot of people, and you know, me included, the idea of living in a tent or tiny home or whatever it is, putting in that time doing that to get to where you're self-sufficient is totally worth it.
Oh, it is.
Some people would go, nah, I'd rather work 40 hours a week at something that I don't really love and be able to afford like a house with
And like
real walls.
Yeah, and but you're paying your month. Here's the thing about the opposite side of the lifestyle, right? It's like you have that 40-hour a week job. You probably have a certain set monthly bills. Like how much are you gaining at the end of each month? And like if you're real strict about your saving, like you can make a future for yourself that way. But it's kind of hard, right?
But are you just gonna break even forever?
And like maybe you get a pay bump or a promotion or something, and then you go from living in this apartment to this house, which costs more per month. And like, there's a different lifestyle out there, but this one is hard, but it definitely pays off. Like we're not making like huge money, but we're in a completely different place than we were now, and we're loving our life. We're loving what we're doing.
That's awesome.
We love making this clamp rack. That was a cool adventure.
Anthony and I both make significantly less money than we used to make, but Anthony and I are both, and I can say this for myself and just Anthony from my perspective of Anthony, we are both exponentially happier making less money in the setting where we're in charge, where we're working for ourselves, where we're not going in and punching a time card.
I can drive an ambulance now. How crazy.
But yeah, it's like any given day, I'm like, oh, well, I need to go do this. So I'm not even going to go to the shop today. I'm going to go do this. I have the freedom to do so.
Right.
As long as I'm managing myself well enough that I know that that's not going to put me in the negative by doing so, I can just do it.
Well, yeah.
When we plan trips and vacations with friends and stuff, everybody's like, all right, I got to make sure I can get off that week. And I'm like, I'll be there.
Yeah.
It's just, you're so much more autonomous, and you don't have to, the freedom and the pride of kind of being your own boss is really the biggest thing for me. Is just having that freedom to do whatever I want. It hurt me so bad when I was working a job that I was an asset to that company. I did a good job. I know that I did, but I still had to go to my boss and be like, hey, my cousin's getting married or something this 3 weeks from now, and I need Thursday and Friday off. Can I please not come to work that day?
They say, nah.
I'm an adult, and I had a great boss, and they never turned me down unless they just had to, if the whole company was like full force working on something. But it like hurt my pride as an adult male to go to another adult male and be like, can I please not come to work?
It feels like, can I go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
The lecture's over.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, I'm a grown-ass man at this point. Well, I don't need to ask other grown-ass men for permission to do what I want to do. I wanted to just be able to do that. And that was honestly the biggest driver for me to take this route. Because that never sat well with me.
Yeah.
You reach a certain age, you think you got to stop asking for permission for shit. But as long as you have a boss, you got to ask permission for shit.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's even like the concept of LWOP or leave without pay. Like, it's like, hey, I don't only have this many hours of PTO, but I want to take off like a couple extra days. Like, oh, you don't have enough PTO. And I could be like, oh, that's fine. Just don't pay me for those days. Like, I won't be there. You don't have to pay me.
Well, that's got to be approved.
And they go, oh, we have to approve that. I'm like, or you just don't pay me. Well, you can't do that. You mean if I go over, you can't just not pay me?
But it's because of the benefits.
So they're like, well, why would you want to do? It's like, because I need to go do this. I want to go do this thing.
Yeah.
But it's okay if you don't pay me. And the fact that's like this huge.
Which from a business standpoint, I understand why LWOP is not just free for all. Because if we're providing benefits, you have to bring the company X amount, right?
Sure.
But still.
But if you already are,
the whole idea of it.
like if you already are bringing the value, there's also a point too where it's like, okay, now they're just doing it because they're not even thinking like, yo, you've already provided the value we wanted. We want to make sure you're here. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
they reserve the right to just be like, no, I don't think you can do that.
Yeah. Do I provide value? Yes. Okay. Then just treat me like an adult at least. Like, let's just all be adults. And if I'm not providing value, why am I here? Then get rid of me.
They're like, no. See this thing right here? That means that I'm your boss. Listen, boy.
Yeah. So I gotta say no every now and then, just on principle.
Yeah.
I can't be the boss that just approves every vacation.
I would be the boss that approves everything.
I for sure would, because I'd be like, it's not my place to tell you have to come to work. I don't own this company.
Yeah.
Well, even with Mac, I'd be like, I have an appointment or I have this thing coming up. He's like, hey, can I take off? I'm like, Mac, you just need to tell me when you're not going to be here.
Yeah,
That's
it's
totally.
not a question.
It's not a question to say,
Yeah.
hey, Anthony, I'm not going to be here these. You don't even have to tell me why.
Yeah.
Right.
If it happens a whole bunch where you're not any longer bringing value, then we're going to have a conversation. But like, yeah, just go take care of your stuff and let me know what. Just like I just need to be able to plan around it. I don't care if you take time.
It should be like you should be able to email your boss and say, hey, I'm not working on December 18th.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There should be no why.
Not dearest.
There should be no
leader.
you have the PTO. It should just be like, okay.
Dearest team leader, my mother. I come to you humbly to request that you bequeath me with hours of time for which to spend with my family. And I don't know if you know this, but family is a tenet of American society. And then cite like 3 scholarly articles behind it on why it's important.
And then they just be like, no.
Nah. Yeah.
I need you on 50.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be out that week, so I need you to be there.
Yeah.
Well, guys, hey, I really appreciate the time. This has been fun, like always. And I appreciate you guys letting me come in a little bit late. That's another good thing. I was able to help my girlfriend out today without asking anybody. I just have to go do it, you know?
Amazing.
It was nice. It sounded like a lot of fun. It was not fun, but you know, it was nice. It was good for her to have me there. So, but yeah, guys, I appreciate it. Keep us posted on what you guys got going on with the plant racks and everything. And
Yeah, we're gonna send you guys some just because like
that's awesome. No, thank you.
yeah,
I'm
and
excited.
here's what really though is like use it and then just say like if it's functional, like if it's something that actually like you get accustomed to using is working, we want to know. And if it kind of like sucks, we want to know how to make it so it doesn't suck. You know, that's really the premise of it.
I would love to get that thing on my bench and just kind of play with it because I think that I'm excited to see how it plays in the shop because I definitely see us being able to use it for certain things.
Yeah.
And if there's pros and cons, I will excitedly. It gets from my, I'm still an engineer deep down. I get from my engineer hat back on.
Yeah,
right, right.
Careful.
Yeah, careful. You're asking 2 engineers for.
Well, I'll tell you what, since you guys
Y'all
are
are usually my
engineers,
worst enemy, you know?
Yeah.
but
A
we're
manufacturing engineer and an aerospace guy.
God, the
Push
worst.
back and be like, your welds could be done like this. Actually.
Yeah.
You need to change this bolt for that.
Well, yep, I'm aware.
we're actually making cuffs that go over these holes, and you can put straight or parallel clamps in them instead of pipe clamps.
Yep.
I was
nice.
And then we're making cause, you know, so like that hold your, it's like a panel flattener that slide in between.
Nice.
And then we're making the caster base for it. So if you want to roll it around, you know, so, but
I love it.
Yeah, the caster base is a big one.
Yeah.
Everything else.
Because that way you can get it all tightened down and then just roll it wherever the fuck out of the way.
Yep.
But anyways, thanks for having us on. Our computer's about to die.
Yeah,
anyway, so.
it's real close.
Perfect timing. There we go. We're good. All right, guys. You guys have a good one, and we'll talk again soon.
All right,
Yeah,
thanks
man.
for having us. Look forward to next time.
See you guys.
Recording stopped.
All right. See you guys.
See you, brother.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning into the live stream. I hope you found some value in it or enjoyed it or just like looking at our faces.
Yeah, yeah.
See ya.
See you.